Welcome to Novel Love Hearing. We bring you hundreds of novel audiobooks covering every genre and every kind of story you can imagine. Action? We've got it. Adventure? Absolutely. Horror? Of course. Whether it's the legendary Uchiha massacre or outrageous tales like stealing Naruto's and Sasuke's women, you'll find it here. From epic series like One Piece, Bleach, Fairy Tail, and Hunter x Hunter, to countless other adventures, our library has it all. Love novels but don't have time to read? No worries, just plug in your earbuds, sit back, and let the story take over. Good listening, and happy hearing, but she was determined to become stronger. She gritted her teeth. Shin, please. Mikoto, are you sure? Don't blame me later. Shin warned. Mikoto nodded resolutely. Let's go outside then. Tsunade and Kushina followed, curious. Yamatsu Hirasaka. Shin activated his Mangekyo Sharingan and opened a portal. Go on, Mikoto. Mikoto, trusting Shin completely, stepped through the portal. She vanished. Seeing Tsunade and Kushina's confused expressions, Shin pointed upwards. They looked up and saw Mikoto falling from the sky. The portal had deposited her hundreds of meters in the air. Mikoto was terrified. Even a Kage would be scared falling from that height, let alone a Nugain in. Her Sharingan activated instinctively. As the ground rushed towards her, her fear peaked. The single Tomoe in her eyes spun rapidly, then another Tomoe appeared. She had awakened the two Tomoe Sharingan. But she didn't have time to celebrate. She was about to die. Just before she hit the ground, another portal appeared, and she fell through. The portal reappeared in front of Shin. Mikoto stumbled out, almost falling, but Shin caught her. Mikoto, are you alright? Mikoto was still in shock, her mind reeling from the near-death experience. Chapter 44, Mikoto's Gratitude. Mikoto, your Sharingan has evolved to Tomoe. Kushina exclaimed. Even Tsunade was surprised. Shin had actually done it. Mikoto, who had been in a daze, finally snapped back to reality, her face pale. Mikoto, are you alright? Shin asked cautiously. He knew she wasn't in any real danger, but his method wasn't exactly pleasant. But there was no easy way to force the Sharingan to evolve. Gain came with pain. I'm fine. Mikoto said through gritted teeth, glaring at Shin. Ahaha, that's good. Shin chuckled nervously. Mikoto looked like she wanted to eat him alive. Was it just his imagination? Mikoto tried to calm her racing heart. She was still shaken. Mikoto, I could probably help you awaken the three Tomoe Sharingan too. Maybe 2 more falls, and you'll have it. Want to try? Mikoto took a step back. No way. She couldn't handle that again. She'd rather stick with the two Tomoe Sharingan. No, thank you. I'll awaken it on my own. She said quickly. Is it really that scary? Kushina asked. Mikoto looked at her. You should try it, Kushina. Then you'll know. No, thank you. Kushina had watched Mikoto fall from the sky, just thinking about experiencing it herself made her shudder. Mikoto might have been terrified, but the results were worth it. Her chakra had doubled, and with her two Tomoe Sharingan, she was now comparable to an elite Chunin. Shin was a bit disappointed that Mikoto refused, but he quickly moved on. He was about to go train when Tsunade stopped him. Tsunade, what is it? Shin asked. You said Madara Uchiha doesn't have the Mangekyo Sharingan, but the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. What's that? An evolved form of the Mangekyo Sharingan? She had forgotten about this earlier, but now she remembered. Yes, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan is an evolved form of the Mangekyo Sharingan. You didn't know that? Shin was surprised. The Senju and Uchiha were mortal enemies, how could she not know about Madara's Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? Is it that strange that I don't know? Tsunade glared at him. How do you know about it? I just do. Shin didn't know how to answer. Tsunade gave him a knowing look. She had known from the beginning that he had many secrets. But she wouldn't pry. If he didn't want to tell her, she wouldn't ask. Changing the subject, she asked. What's the difference between the Mangekyo Sharingan and the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan? The difference is huge. First, the ocular power. If the Mangekyo Sharingan's ocular power is a river, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan's is an ocean. The Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can use the perfect Susanoo, while the Mangekyo Sharingan can't due to insufficient ocular power. Also, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can be used without limitations, while the Mangekyo Sharingan can't. The ocular power it consumes doesn't regenerate. Overuse leads to vision loss and eventually blindness. What? You're saying the Mangekyo Sharingan can cause blindness? Tsunade, Kushina, and Mikoto exclaimed in unison. Don't worry, I'm special. I won't go blind. Shin reassured them, seeing the concern in their eyes. Really? Kushina looked at him skeptically. Don't lie to us. I swear, if I'm lying, I'm a puppy. Kushina finally believed him. Don't worry, I have a way to evolve my Sharingan. I'm going to train now. Shin left to train. Mikoto checked the time and went to the kitchen to cook. Kushina and Tsunade were left staring at each other. Soon, Mikoto finished cooking and went to call Shin for dinner. Smells delicious, Shin said as he entered, inhaling the aroma. Mikoto might be young, but she was a great cook. Shin, I made this chicken soup for you. It's to thank you for helping me awaken my Tutomui Sharingan. No need for thanks, Mikoto. We're friends, we don't need such formalities. Shin said with a smile. Friends? What kind of friends? Kushina interjected, glaring at Shin. Teammates, of course. What else would we be? Shin said innocently. That soup smells amazing. Kushina reached for a bowl, but Mikoto swatted her hand away. Kushina, this is for Shin. Only he can have it. It's my way of thanking him. You have to finish it all, Shin. Mikoto said seriously. Humphrey, who cares? I don't even want any. Kushina pouted. Since it's Mikoto's kind gesture, I'll finish it all. Shin said, taking the bowl from Mikoto. The aroma was enticing, it must be delicious. He blew on the soup to cool it down and took a sip. His face contorted. It was incredibly salty. What's wrong? Don't you like it? Mikoto asked with a smile. Shin looked at her. Was it just his imagination, or was her smile a bit creepy? Tsunade, eating quietly, glanced at Shin's face and immediately knew something was wrong with the soup. No wonder Mikoto wouldn't let them have any. Mikoto, it's a bit salty, Shin said with a wry smile. He understood now. This wasn't gratitude, it was revenge. Mikoto was still holding a grudge for the way he had helped her awaken her Sharingan. Salty? Just drink more water then, Mikoto said cheerfully. Shin stared at her. Was she a demon? This wasn't the sweet Mikoto he knew. Mikoto, I helped you awaken your Sharingan, and this is how you repay me? Shin sighed dramatically. You almost scared me to death. Mikoto glared at him. She still had nightmares about that experience. Ahem, it was all part of the process. And look, you have your Tutomui Sharingan now. Shin coughed awkwardly. He had been a bit harsh. Fine, I'll finish the soup. He looked at Mikoto's vengeful expression and sighed. Don't. I might have gone a bit overboard with the salt. Mikoto admitted, taking the soup away. You're too kind, Mikoto, Shin said with a grin. Mikoto blushed and glared at him playfully. Kushina watched their exchange, a pang of jealousy in her heart. Chapter 45, Denzo's Fury. Kushina, where are you going? Mikoto asked as Kushina headed out the door. Mikoto, I have something to discuss with Shin. You can go to bed, Kushina said, a slight tremor in her voice. Nope. Mikoto blocked her path, shaking her head. Tsunade-sensei told me to keep an eye on you and make sure you don't sneak out at night, especially to Shin's room. Kushina gritted her teeth. Tsunade was so mean. And Mikoto too. In the end, Kushina couldn't escape Mikoto's watchful eye and had to return to her room, fuming. The next morning, Shin woke up early, but someone was already up before him. Morning, Mikoto. Shin, you're awake. I'll go make breakfast. No, wait until Tsunade and Kushina wake up. Who knows when they'll grace us with their presence. They're both lazy. It's not wise to gossip about people behind their backs, especially when they're within earshot. Tsunade's voice was cold. Shin, did I just hear you call me lazy? Kushina glared at him. Shin was speechless. Had the sun risen in the west today? Why were they up so early? Ahem, I'm going to practice sword art. Can't let my skills get rusty. See you later. Shin made a quick escape, using Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport away before Tsunade could catch him. He returned half an hour later for breakfast. Seeing Tsunade and Kushina's icy expressions, he decided to change the subject. Tsunade, should we go on a mission today? It's up to you. If you want to go, we can. If not, I wouldn't mind taking a break. Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto exchanged glances. Kushina and Mikoto looked at Shin expectantly. It was his decision. If he wanted to go on a mission, they would. Shin thought it over. Can we take a B-rank mission? He asked Tsunade. C-rank missions rarely involved combat against ninja. Kushina and Mikoto needed to fight real shinobi to gain experience. He also needed to face stronger opponents to improve. But finding opponents who could challenge him was difficult. He could kill elite Jonin like they were nothing. Even a quasi-Kage would be a walk in the park. He needed Kage-level opponents. A 10-year-old Kage? That would be a record. Shin didn't believe anyone his age was as strong as him. After all, he had cheats. Even the Sage of Six Paths Sons wouldn't be his match at this age. A B-rank mission? Impossible. The Sandaime won't allow it. The C-rank mission was already an exception. Tsunade shook her head. They were Genin fresh out of the academy. The C-rank mission was only approved because of her. If that's the case, we might as well stay in Hidden Leaf Village and train. Shin decided to skip the missions. They didn't need the money, there was no point doing those pointless missions. In the root base, Denzo's face was dark with fury. You're saying Tsunade and those brats returned? Yes, Denzo-sama. They completed their mission. What about Kato-dan? Any news? Denzo was livid. He had sent such a strong force, yet Tsunade had returned, and they hadn't captured that Uzumaki Shin brat. No news. They haven't returned. Denzo's anger subsided, replaced by a frown. He had sent them to kill Tsunade. She was back, but they weren't. And there was no news? Something must have happened. Investigate. And don't let Sarutobi find out. Denzo ordered a root member. After the member left, Denzo slammed his fist on the table, his anger boiling over. 3 elite Jonin and 3 regular Jonin, gone without a trace. How could he not be furious? Sarutobi Hiruzen, I hope you're not involved in this. Denzo's eyes narrowed. He suspected Hiruzen had something to do with this. If it were just Tsunade, he was confident she would be dead. That was why he suspected Hiruzen's involvement. Perhaps his actions had been discovered. He didn't suspect Shin. After all, Shin was only 10. Who would think a child could be that strong? So, he blamed Hiruzen for interfering with his plans. Shin, of course, had no idea about Denzo's suspicions. If he knew, he would have laughed. Let Denzo and Hiruzen fight amongst themselves. Neither of them were good people. Shin and his team were training, with Tsunade overseeing them. Well, she was overseeing Kushina and Mikoto. She couldn't train Shin, he was stronger than her. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. Shin threw the Rasen Shuriken. It struck the wooden target and exploded, obliterating the target and leaving a massive crater in the ground. The chakra storm raged for a while. Finally perfected it. Shin was satisfied. He had created thousands of shadow clones to research and refine the Rasen Shuriken, and now it was complete. The Rasen Shuriken was a jutsu Naruto had developed from the Rasengan. It was powerful, but it had drawbacks. It was unstable, required close-range combat, and had the side effect of damaging the user's arm. It was classified as an S-rank forbidden jutsu. But those were the drawbacks of the incomplete version. In the original story, Naruto had overcome those weaknesses after mastering Sage Mode. Shin didn't have Sage Mode, but that didn't stop him from perfecting the Rasen Shuriken. The key to the Rasen Shuriken was stability. With enough control, the jutsu wouldn't harm the user. Shin's Rasen Shuriken caught Tsunade's attention. What was that jutsu? She asked, stunned. I developed it. It's a combination of the Rasengan and Wind style. Not bad, huh? Shin grinned. Tsunade was speechless. This jutsu was S-rank level, and Shin had developed it. She felt a pang of jealousy. This kid was a monster. How could common shinobi like her compete? Chapter 46, Making Tsunade Call Me Teacher Shin, that jutsu is incredible. I want to learn it. Kushina's eyes sparkled as she witnessed the destructive power of Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. Shin shook his head. Kushina, it's not that I don't want to teach you, but you're not ready for this jutsu yet. Kushina, S-rank jutsu are beyond your reach for now. They're not easy to learn. Tsunade added. S-rank jutsu were powerful, but also difficult to master. The Rasen Shuriken was no exception, it was an S-rank forbidden jutsu. Training in the Rasen Shuriken was risky, you could easily injure yourself. The Rasen Shuriken transforms wind-style chakra into microscopic needles that attack the opponent's cells directly. Even if it doesn't kill them, it can cause paralysis. But it has drawbacks. If you lose control during training, you can injure yourself. And the incomplete Rasen Shuriken can't be thrown, so you risk getting caught in the blast. It's best to use shadow clones to train in this jutsu. Shin explained the intricacies of the Rasen Shuriken. He had used shadow clones to develop and refine the jutsu before attempting to use it himself. But if Kushina used shadow clones to train, she would run out of chakra quickly. She wasn't ready for this jutsu yet. The chakra consumption is immense. Even with your large reserves, Kushina, you can't handle it. Let's wait until you're older. Fine. Kushina wasn't too disappointed. But Tsunade can learn it. Shin looked at Tsunade. Tsunade had enough chakra. As a Senshu, she also possessed the sage body. While it wasn't as potent as Shin's, her chakra reserves were still massive. Despite being an elite Jonin, her chakra volume was several times greater than Hiruzen's. A shinobi with the sage body rarely had chakra issues. And those with the perfect sage body had chakra overflowing. You're going to teach me this jutsu? Tsunade looked at Shin, surprised. This wasn't some common jutsu, it was an S rank. Was this kid really interested in her? If you don't want to learn it, that's fine. It's just an S rank jutsu. Nothing special to me. Shin shrugged nonchalantly. He wasn't boasting. The Rasen Shuriken was powerful, but there were stronger jutsu out there. Of course I want to learn it. It's an S rank jutsu. Even Tsunade couldn't resist the allure of an S rank jutsu. In that case, call me Shin-sensei. Shin grinned. You're looking for a beating. Tsunade raised her fist playfully. Shin dodged easily. Tsunade's punches were slow to him. Damn it. Tsunade was annoyed that she couldn't land a hit on him. Come on, Tsunade. This is a great opportunity. One sensei for an S-rank jutsu. Kushina egged her on. Mikoto, don't you think so too? Kushina nudged Mikoto. Yes, I think Tsunade-sensei is getting a great deal. Mikoto agreed with a smile. She and Kushina were enjoying this. Tsunade snorted. An S-rank jutsu for calling this brat sensei? No way. Shin-sensei. Well, it seemed no one was immune to the allure of a good deal, not even Tsunade. Shin was surprised. He had been joking. He hadn't expected her to actually call him sensei. Knowing Tsunade's personality, this was hard to believe. What? Do you want to get punched? Tsunade blushed under their gazes. Calling Shin sensei felt like a loss of dignity. Since you've made such a sacrifice, Tsunade, I'll teach you the Rasen Shuriken. Shin said with a grin. Tsunade gritted her teeth. She felt like kicking herself. Why had she called him sensei? If she could turn back time, she would take it back and punch Shin instead. Seeing her anger, Shin coughed and started explaining the key points of the Rasen Shuriken. So I need to learn the Rasengan first? Yes, the Rasengan is the basics of the Rasen Shuriken. You can't use the Rasen Shuriken without mastering the Rasengan. Shin confirmed. He had already taught Tsunade the Rasengan, but she hadn't mastered it yet. It wasn't that difficult, though. She should be able to learn it in a few days. By the way, Tsunade, as the Senju clan princess, you shouldn't be lacking in S-rank jutsu, right? Who said I wasn't? I could get my hands on wood-style S-rank jutsu, but the other S-rank jutsu are sealed in the Forbidden Scroll by my grandfather. Tsunade explained. She couldn't use wood-style. Besides Hashirama, no one else could. And the other S-rank jutsu developed by Tobirama, like the Flying Thunder God jutsu and the Summoning, Impure World Reincarnation, were sealed in the Forbidden Scroll. Even if they weren't, she might not be able to learn them. The Flying Thunder God jutsu required a talent for space-time ninjutsu, and the Summoning, Impure World Reincarnation was a complex forbidden jutsu. By the way, Shin, don't reveal this S-rank jutsu to anyone. Tsunade said seriously. S-rank jutsu were rare and coveted by even Kage-level shinobi. Revealing it could be dangerous, especially with Denzu around. She didn't trust him not to try and steal it. Don't worry, I won't reveal it. And most people wouldn't even force me to use it. Unless something unexpected happened, Shin wouldn't be facing any truly strong opponents for now. And against ordinary Geinin, Chunin, or even Jonin, he wouldn't need the Rasen Shuriken. It was much faster to just kill them with his sword. Tsunade nodded, reassured. If only Nawaki was half as strong as you, I wouldn't have to worry. I wonder how he's doing with Orochimaru. At that moment, a certain boy who was shoveling manure sneezed. Is someone thinking about me? Nawaki wondered, then continued his task. As for why he was shoveling manure, Orochimaru had accepted a mission to clean up the farm, which included cleaning up the animal droppings. It was certainly an interesting mission choice. Chapter 47, Nawaki, are you here to discuss us? After a day of training, Shin rubbed his stomach. He was hungry. Let's call it a day. I'm starving. He announced to the girls, who were sprawled on the ground, exhausted. No wonder you're so strong. You have endless stamina. Tsunade said, panting. She was exhausted. They had been training intensely for half a day, following Shin's lead, and they were worn out. Shin, however, seemed perfectly fine. Don't compare yourselves to me. I have an advantage. Shin said. The regenerative ability of his perfect sage body was incredible. Unless the training was excessively intense, he wouldn't feel tired. He was like a perpetual motion machine. As they were about to head back, they saw a figure approaching in the distance. It's Nawaki. Shin's eyesight was excellent, he recognized Nawaki from afar. Shin. Sis. There you are. Nawaki approached with a cheerful grin, as if he had just won the lottery. Nawaki, you seem happy. Did you find some money? Shin asked. No, but I earned some. And quite a bit, too. I'm treating you all to dinner today. Nawaki announced excitedly. He seemed genuinely happy. But Tsunade, Kushina, and Mikoto all took a step back. Even Shin instinctively moved away. Nawaki, why do you stink? Tsunade asked, wrinkling her nose. Stink? Do I? Nawaki sniffed himself, but he couldn't smell anything. It wasn't that his sense of smell was faulty, he was simply used to it. He had been exposed to foul odors all day. Nawaki, did you fall into a latrine? Kushina asked suspiciously, taking another step back. No, I was just shoveling manure all afternoon. As soon as he said that, Tsunade, Kushina, and Mikoto retreated even further. Even Shin moved away. Nawaki, are you crazy? Why were you shoveling manure? Shin asked, incredulous. I didn't want to. But Orochimaru-sensei took a mission to clean up a farm, and that included shoveling manure. What could I do? Nawaki said with a grimace. He didn't want to fail his first mission, so he endured the unpleasant task. And the reward was generous for a D-rank mission, comparable to a C rank. Shin looked at Nawaki with sympathy. Orochimaru had certainly chosen an interesting mission. I earned a lot, so I wanted to celebrate. Yakiniku, on me. Nawaki declared grandly. Tsunade's face darkened. Nawaki, couldn't you have at least taken a bath and changed clothes before coming here? You're not here to treat us, you're here to disgust us. Nawaki was bewildered. He was offering to treat them to yakiniku, why were they reacting like this? But with the stench emanating from him, no one had any appetite. Even Shin, who had been hungry, felt his stomach churn. Shin, why are they looking at me like that? Nawaki didn't understand the murderous glares he was receiving. Shin shook his head. Let's do this another time, Nawaki. We're not up for it today. Shin rejected his offer. Nawaki was both disappointed and relieved. Disappointed that they weren't accepting his offer, but relieved that he got to keep his money. Nawaki left, dejected, chased away by Tsunade. Orochimaru has no shame, taking a mission like that. Only he would do such a thing. Tsunade grumbled. Are we still having dinner? I've lost my appetite. Kushina said. Of course we're eating. We'll starve if we don't. Shin wasn't going to let the little smell ruin his dinner. Food was important, especially for training. Even with his perfect sage body, he needed to eat. In the end, only Shin ate dinner that night. Kushina and the others had no appetite. Mikoto, you're living here now. Won't the Uchiha clan say anything? Shin asked. Mikoto shook her head. I'm practically invisible in the Uchiha clan. No one will say anything. Mikoto might be pretty, but in the world of shinobi, beauty wasn't everything. Her quiet personality made her blend in. Don't worry, no one will say anything about my student. Tsunade said confidently. Shin rolled his eyes. She made it sound like she was some kind of big shot. Hey, brat, are you looking down on me? Tsunade caught his expression and glared at him. Haha, you're mistaken. I was just thinking how amazing you are. Shin said, trying to appease her. Amazing? Shin is way more amazing than you. Kushina declared. Shin glared at Kushina. Was she trying to get him in trouble? Kushina, do you want to taste my fist? Tsunade threatened. What are you going to do? Kushina hid behind Shin, glaring at Tsunade. Come here, I'll punch you so hard, you'll be crying in bed. Tsunade taunted. Threatening me? You think you're so great? Give me 3 years, and I'll surpass you. Kushina retorted. Shin's lips twitched. Was Kushina challenging Tsunade to a duel in 3 years? But even in 3 years, Kushina wouldn't be a match for Tsunade. Unless she became the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki and could perfectly control its power, defeating Tsunade within 3 years was impossible. But Kushina couldn't become the Jinchuriki now. The position was already filled. And even if she did become the Jinchuriki, controlling the Nine-Tails power was no easy feat. Hey, fine. I'll be waiting. But that doesn't mean I can't beat you up now. Tsunade hadn't given up on teaching Kushina a lesson. She approached Kushina with a mischievous grin. Shin, help. Kushina was scared of that grin. She clung to Shin. Even Shin can't help you now. I'm going to teach you some manners, little girl. Tsunade reached for Kushina. Come on, Tsunade, why are you bullying Kushina? She's still weak. There's no satisfaction in that. Shin said, stopping her. Humphrey, I knew you'd protect her. Tsunade let Kushina go, giving Shin face. Kushina bit Shin's arm lightly. What did he mean by she's still weak? That was insulting. Chapter 48, Copying the Kurama clan's KK Genkai. Tsunade, do you know of any KK Genkai users in Hidden Leaf Village? Shin asked Tsunade during breakfast the next morning. Tsunade looked at him curiously. KK Genkai are rare in the shinobi world. There aren't many in Hidden Leaf Village. There's the Uchiha clan's Sharingan, the Hyuga clan's Byakugan, the Senju clan's Sage Body, your Uzumaki clan, and the Kurama clan. Shin's eyes lit up when he heard the name Kurama clan. He had completely forgotten about them. Thanks to Tsunada's reminder, he remembered. The Kurama clan possessed a powerful KK Genkai, 5 senses control. A Genjutsu that could control the 5 senses and even turn illusions into reality. It was the pinnacle of Yin style. Yin style could create form out of nothingness, while Yang style could breathe life into form. Together, they could create life. Shin didn't know if this 5 senses control was comparable to Aizen Sosuke's Kyokusui Uegetsu from Bleach, but it was undoubtedly powerful. It probably wasn't as potent as Kyokusui Uegetsu, though. Otherwise, the Kurama clan wouldn't be such a small clan. If they could truly control all 5 senses, dominating the shinobi world wouldn't be impossible. Tsunada, are there any Kurama clan members who have awakened their KK Genkai? Shin asked. He wanted to copy this KK Genkai. The Kurama clan might have a powerful ability, but their weak constitutions might prevent them from utilizing it fully. The Kurama clan was known for their frail bodies. They tired easily and probably didn't have large chakra reserves. Chakra was extracted from cells. A weak body meant limited chakra. There used to be quite a few Kurama with KK Genkai. They were once as prominent as the Senju and Uchiha clans. But now they've declined. I think there's only one with an awakened KK Genkai. Tsunada answered, curious about his interest in the Kurama clan. That's good. I was afraid there might be none. Shin was relieved. If there were no KK Genkai users in the Kurama clan, he'd have to wait for Yakumo Kurama to be born. But that was over a decade away. He didn't have time to wait. And by then, he might not even need the Kurama clan's KK Genkai. Shin, why are you asking about this? Kushina asked curiously. Mikoto and Tsunada were also curious. It's a secret. Shin shook his head. Some secrets were better left unsaid. Tsunada, do you know where this Kurama clan member is? He's in the Hidden Leaf Village Torture and Interrogation Force. With his powerful Genjutsu, he's the head of the department. The Hidden Leaf Village Torture and Interrogation Force. It was a position well suited for the Uchiha clan, but Hiruzen wouldn't allow it. I want to meet him. Can you take me? Shin asked Tsunada. He couldn't meet the head of the Torture and Interrogation Force on his own. It was an Anbu department. Tsunada looked at Shin, then nodded. You agreed? Aren't you going to ask why? Shin was surprised. Would you tell me if I asked? Shin chuckled awkwardly. He couldn't tell her. Let's go. Tsunada and Shin left. Kushina and Mikoto stayed behind. Even as the Sandaime Hokage's disciple, Tsunada couldn't enter the Torture and Interrogation Force freely. But she could summon its leader, Kurama Kase. Tsunada-sama, you summoned me? Kase was surprised. He hadn't expected the Senju clan princess to seek him out. The Kurama clan was no longer prominent. To him, Tsunada was an important figure. Tsunada looked at Shin. It wasn't her who wanted to see Kase, but Shin. She had no idea what he was planning. Kurama-san, I hear you're quite skilled in Genjutsu. I was wondering if you could teach me. Shin said with a smile. But as he spoke, he used an advanced replication card to copy Kase's 5 senses control. He felt his already powerful mental energy surge. Even his ocular power increased, causing a tingling sensation in his eyes. He blinked a few times until the tingling subsided. He could sense a change in his Mengekyo Sharingan. It hadn't evolved into the eternal Mengekyo Sharingan yet, but it was showing signs of it. Shin was ecstatic. This was an unexpected bonus. Kase looked at Shin, his expression troubled. Shin wanted to learn Genjutsu from him, but he wasn't keen on teaching. But if he refused, would he anger Tsunada? She was right here, after all. Tsunada glanced at Shin, puzzled. Why would he need to learn Genjutsu from Kase when he had the Mengekyo Sharingan? She knew Shin must have another motive. I apologize, but I don't have the time to teach you. Kase said apologetically. He had decided to refuse. He turned to Tsunada. As you know, Tsunada-sama, the Torture and Interrogation Force is quite busy. I don't have the time to teach. He was afraid of angering Tsunada. The Kurama clan couldn't afford to make enemies of her. That's a shame, but I understand. Shin said. Asking for Genjutsu lessons was just an excuse. Approaching Kase without a reason would be suspicious. Shin's goal was the KK Genkai, he didn't care about anything else. Whether Kase agreed or refused, it didn't matter. He actually preferred it if Kase refused. He had no intention of taking lessons. Tsunada, let's go. Shin said. Tsunada glanced at him, still clueless about his motives. But since he was ready to leave, she followed. As they left, Kase's eyes widened. Something felt off. Why was Tsunada acting like that kid's follower? It must be his imagination. If Tsunada knew Kase thought of her as Shin's follower, she would probably punch him. His frail body wouldn't be able to withstand a single blow. Chapter 49, Tsunade goes on a mission. Tsunade took Uzumaki Shin to meet with Kurama Case. The Sandame Hokage puffed on his pipe, his brow furrowed. Yes, Sandame-sama. Apparently, Uzumaki Shin wanted to learn Genjutsu from Kurama Case, but he was refused. An Anbu agent reported. Tsunade and Shin's meeting with Case hadn't escaped the Anbu's notice. And if the Anbu knew, Hiruzen would know. I see. Hiruzen nodded, dismissing the matter. Meanwhile, Tsunade and Shin had returned to the courtyard. Shin went straight to his room and activated his Mengekyo Sharingan. He could feel the increase in his ocular power. His Genjutsu must be even stronger now, but he had no one to test it on. With his immense mental energy, he felt like his Genjutsu could manifest into physical attacks. Copying the Kurama clan's KK Genkai had been the right choice. His overall strength had increased, and his Genjutsu, which had been his weakest area, was now much stronger. His Genjutsu hadn't been weak before, thanks to his Mengekyo Sharingan, but it had paled in comparison to his Taijutsu and Ninjutsu. He examined the changes in his Mengekyo Sharingan. His ocular power was immense, but he still wasn't sure when it would evolve into the eternal Mengekyo Sharingan. Shin, come out here. Shin heard Tsunade's call and exited his room. Orochimaru and Jiraiya were there, along with their respective Genin teams. Shin-kun, long time no see. Orochimaru greeted Shin with a smile, surprising him. Not just Shin, but Tsunade and Jiraiya were also surprised. Orochimaru wasn't the type to initiate conversations. Actually, I wanted to be Shin-kun's Jonin sensei. Orochimaru declared. Wow, even you have your eyes on this kid, Orochimaru? But his performance at the academy wasn't that impressive. Jiraiya said, looking at Shin with curiosity. If you want to switch sensei, Shin, you can come to me. Orochimaru ignored Jiraiya and continued talking to Shin. Orochimaru, are you trying to steal my student? Tsunade glared at him, her chakra flaring. This snake was trying to poach her student? Did he think she was easy to bully? Such powerful chakra. Orochimaru glanced at Tsunade, a hint of envy in his eyes. Her chakra reserves dwarfed his. But he wasn't afraid of her. Chakra wasn't the sole determinant of strength. Shin-kun, what's your choice? Orochimaru looked at Shin, his eyes filled with interest. Shin shuddered. I'm happy with Tsunade-sensei. I haven't considered switching. Tsunade sighed in relief. She had been worried Shin might actually go with Orochimaru. But she had worried for nothing, Shin wouldn't follow that creep. Orochimaru might be a genius in research, but he was also undeniably creepy. That's a shame. Orochimaru shook his head in disappointment. What are you all doing here? Shin asked Orochimaru and Jiraiya. They wouldn't be here without a reason. We have a mission that requires the three of us. So, you nine will be working together for now. The Sandame will assign a Jonin to lead all three teams. Jiraiya explained. I see. Shin nodded, then looked at Tsunade. Tsunade, if you encounter any danger on this mission, run. Oh, Shin, are you worried about me? Tsunade teased. Yeah, it would be a pain if you died out there. Shin said, scratching his head. Tsunade scowled and lightly punched his arm. Can't you say something nice? The mission is urgent. I have to go. Head to Training Ground 24 and wait for your new Jonin sensei. Tsunade, Orochimaru, and Jiraiya left. A mission that required the three of them must be dangerous. But they were all strong, they should be able to handle it. Shin, we're going on a mission together. Nawaki said excitedly. Hey, I'd rather not join you in shoveling manure. Shin's words made Hayashi and Kei, Nawaki's teammates, scowl. Nawaki had blabbed about their manure shoveling mission. Let's go to Training Ground 24. Shin led the way, followed by Mikoto and Kushina. Nawaki, Minato, and the others followed. At Training Ground 24, their new Jonin sensei hadn't arrived yet. Shin sat down, waiting. Hey, Shin, have you been on any missions? Nawaki asked. Yeah, just a C-rank mission. Shin replied with a smile. Nawaki jumped up. What? A C-rank mission? That's not fair. Why do we only get D-rank missions? He yelled, attracting the attention of the others. Kushina, you really went on a C-rank mission? Akiko asked. Kushina nodded proudly. There was no need to hide it. Humphrey, who knows if that's true? Kai scoffed. He seemed out of place, even his teammates, Nawaki and Hayashi, ignored him. Nawaki had initially tried to befriend Kei, but he had given up. Kei, are you looking for a beating? Kushina stood up, glaring at him. You think I'm scared of you? Kai sneered. Don't waste your breath on him. Just hit him. Shin said to Kushina. Trash talk was pointless. Actions spoke louder than words. Kushina nodded and used the adamantine sealing chains, binding Kai instantly. Akiko's eyes widened. Kushina was using the adamantine sealing chain so skillfully. Even she couldn't do that. Akiko, as a Jinchuriki candidate, had received special training from Mido. But even so, she could barely use the adamantine sealing chains. She was nowhere near as proficient as Kushina. Kai struggled, humiliated and enraged, but Kushina just looked at him with disdain. Chapter 50. I was always strong. Staring at the immobilized K, Nawaki whispered to Shin. What jutsu was that? I don't remember sis knowing that. He assumed Tsunade had taught Kushina the adamantine sealing chains. It's the adamantine sealing chains, a Uzumaki clan jutsu. Shin explained. Oh, so Kai should know it too, right? Nawaki glanced at Kai. Him? Shin scoffed. That guy's too talentless. He probably hasn't learned it yet. Shin didn't lower his voice. Kai heard him clearly and almost choked on his own rage. Shin was practically calling him weak to his face. Kushina used the chakra chains to fling Kai away. He crashed into a tree with a groan, almost passing out. That's a small lesson for you. Kushina-san is that strong? Minato exclaimed in surprise. Kai had been bothering him lately, so he knew how strong Kai was. Minato could defeat Kai, but it wouldn't be easy. Kai was talented, more so than Akiko. After that little lesson, Kai didn't try to pick a fight. He had learned his place. An hour passed, but their temporary Jonin sensei still hadn't arrived. What's taking so long? Tsum grumbled impatiently. Finally, after another half hour, their sensei appeared. Shin didn't recognize him. Hello, I'm Asakawa-ki. You can call me Asakawa-sensei. I'll be your Jonin sensei for a while. He introduced himself. He seemed like a decent guy. Asakawa-sensei, can we go on a mission? Nawaki asked eagerly. A mission? Sure, I was planning on taking you on one anyway. Asakawa-sensei agreed. Not a D-rank mission, sensei. A higher level one. After learning that Shin and his team had completed a C-rank mission, Nawaki wanted to do the same. Asakawa-sensei frowned and shook his head. It was too soon for them to take on higher level missions. If something happened, he would be held responsible. And these were the students of the Hokage's 3 disciples. He couldn't afford any mishaps. No matter how much Nawaki pleaded, Asakawa-sensei refused. Nawaki could only sulk. Asakawa-sensei ended up taking them on a weeding mission. The great Uzumaki Shin, reduced to pulling weeds. Shin stared at the field and sighed dramatically. Mikoto giggled. It was rather amusing. A few days ago, he was slaughtering elite Jonin, and now he was weeding a field. What a difference. What's so funny, Mikoto? Shin asked. Guess. Mikoto winked playfully. It was the first time Shin had seen her act so mischievously. Kushina, however, saw it as Shin being captivated by Mikoto. Jealousy flared within her. What are you two doing? Stop flirting and start weeding. She huffed. Kushina, your puffed-up cheeks are so cute. Shin couldn't resist teasing her, pinching her cheeks gently. I'm not cute. Kushina glared at him. She'd rather be called beautiful. Calling her cute made her feel like a child. Mikoto, come weed over here with me. Stay away from him, he's a bad influence. Kushina dragged Mikoto away, leaving Shin feeling a bit hurt. Ninja art, multi-shadow clone jutsu. Dozens of Shin clones appeared beside him. He could have created thousands, but he restrained himself. Get to work. He ordered his clones to start weeding. Nawaki and the others stared in awe at the army of Shin clones. Even Asakawa-sensei was surprised. He couldn't create that many clones. Actually, he didn't even know the multi-shadow clone jutsu. Why didn't I think of that? Kushina smacked her forehead. She was so dumb. Why weed herself when she could use shadow clones? She used the multi-shadow clone jutsu, creating over a dozen clones. Having large chakra reserves was a blessing. Why do you all know jutsu? Nawaki asked enviously. Nawaki, don't tell me you don't know any jutsu. I might have to make fun of you. Shin teased. I know jutsu, but not the shadow clone jutsu. Nawaki grumbled. He knew a few C-rank jutsu, but he hadn't learned the shadow clone jutsu yet. Don't worry, Nawaki. You're only a little behind me. Keep working hard, and you'll catch up. Shin patted his shoulder encouragingly. A little? You're exaggerating. Nawaki protested, looking at the vast difference in their clone count. Don't mind the details. Just keep chasing my shadow. Even though you can't even see it, you have to have dreams. What if they come true? I really want to punch you right now. Nawaki clenched his fists. Shin was getting more and more annoying. Go ahead, try it. You can't beat me anyway. Shin said with a grin. I don't believe you. Nawaki launched a surprise attack, aiming a punch at Shin. He couldn't take it anymore. Shin effortlessly sent Nawaki flying. He landed headfirst in the dirt, his limbs flailing. Shin pulled him out like a radish. Believe me now? He asked, looking at Nawaki's mud-covered face. Shin, why are you so strong after graduation? What's your secret? Nawaki asked, defeated. I was always strong. You just didn't notice. Chapter 51, The Chunin exams. Half a month passed in a flash. During this time, Shin and his team continued to carry out D-rank missions under the guidance of their temporary Jonin sensei, Asakawa-ki. One day, Tsunade finally returned, looking exhausted from her journey. Tsunade, what mission were you on? It took you so long. Shin asked curiously. I was in the Land of Wind, investigating the movements of Hidden Sand Village. I'm afraid things are about to get a bit turbulent in the shinobi world. Tsunade replied after taking a long drink of water. Hidden Sand Village had been showing signs of activity, which Hidden Leaf Village's intelligence network picked up on. The Sandaime Hokage, Sarutobe Hiruzen, had dispatched Orochimaru, Tsunade, and Jiraiya to investigate. It had been a while since the First Shinobi World War. The various hidden villages had been bolstering their forces, and the Warhawks were starting to gain influence. Tsunade's investigation revealed that Hidden Sand Village was indeed preparing for war, and their target was Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Leaf Village was always the target, not just because of its strength, but also because of the Land of Fire's strategic location and resources. Compared to the fertile and prosperous Land of Fire, the Land of Wind, where Hidden Sand Village resided, was practically barren. Shin nodded. It seemed the Second Shinobi World War was drawing near. The Second Shinobi World War involved Hidden Leaf Village, Hidden Sand Village, Hidden Stones Village, and Hidden Rain Village. Hidden Rain Village, from the small nation of the Land of Rain, would become the main battleground. By the way, although I'm back, I still don't have time to take you on missions. Tsunade said. She had other duties to attend to. With Hidden Sand Village preparing for war, Hidden Leaf Village had to make its own preparations. As one of Hidden Leaf Village's top jonin, Tsunade couldn't rest. She would be joining the Hidden Leaf Village forces heading to the border soon. That's fine. We're planning to take the Chunin exams. Shin said casually. Once they became Chunin, they wouldn't have to do those pointless D-rank missions anymore. They could take on C-rank or even B-rank missions. Tsunade frowned. You're taking the Chunin exams now? She wasn't keen on them becoming Chunin at this time. With the war looming, they might be sent to the battlefield. Tsunade hadn't experienced the horrors of war herself, but she knew how dangerous it was. Yeah, doing missions in the village is boring. We want to become Chunin and see the world. They hadn't left Hidden Leaf Village since that mission with Tsunade. If you've made up your mind, I won't stop you. Tsunade considered Shin's strength. There wasn't much to worry about. He was stronger than her. And if he had decided, she couldn't change his mind. What's the Chunin exam process like now? Shin asked. Simple. Survive a spar against an elite Chunin for 3 minutes, and you pass. Tsunade explained. The current Chunin exams weren't as complicated as the Chunin exams in the future. As long as you could prove you had the strength of a Chunin, you passed. Surviving 3 minutes against an elite Chunin was proof enough. They prepared for a day, and the next morning, they applied to take the Chunin exams. The Sandaime Hokage examined their applications. As Hokage, he had to review all Chunin applications. Chunin were the core fighting force of a hidden village. Hiruzen couldn't neglect this matter. Especially with Uzumaki Shin, Uzumaki Kushina, and Mikoto Uchiha. 2 Uzumaki and 1 Uchiha. He had to pay attention. You're sure you want to apply to become Chunin? The Sandaime looked at the 3 Geinin, who were currently in his office. Yes, we've made up our minds. Very well. I will arrange your exam. But if you fail, even as Tsunade's students, you won't become Chunin. He stamped their applications, approving their request. He then assigned an Anbu agent to escort them to the exam location. The exam was held in one of Hidden Leaf Village's training grounds. 3 elite Chunin soon arrived. One of them had the Uchiha clan symbol. I am your examiner. You will each face one of these elite Chunin. As long as you can last 3 minutes, you pass. The Anbu agent said coldly. What's with that icy tone? It's like we owe him money. Kushina grumbled. Ignore him. All talk, no action. Shin whispered back. That was how he saw Anbu. They acted tough, but they rarely achieved anything. I'll take the Uchiha. Shin said to Kushina and Mikoto. He hadn't expected an Uchiha to be here. He suspected it was a deliberate arrangement by the Sandaime Hokage. He was right. The Uchiha elite Chunin was indeed assigned by Hiruzen. Uchiha were naturally stronger than most. In a one-on-one fight, They rarely lost. Kushina and Mikoto had no objections. The exam was a series of one-on-one battles, but they would be held simultaneously. The training ground was large enough. Shin walked towards the Uchiha, while Kushina and Mikoto faced the other two Chunin. The Anbu agent with the animal mask watched from the side, a detached observer. That prying feeling. Is that the Sandame? Shin sensed someone watching him and frowned. It had to be the Sandame Hokage using the telescope jutsu. To use the telescope jutsu, one needed to know the target's chakra signature. The Sandame wasn't familiar with Shin's chakra, but he could use someone else's vision, like that of Shin's opponent. You chose me? It seems you don't want to become a Chunin. The young Uchiha said calmly. Skip the trash talk and let's fight. Shin drew his Kusanagi sword and attacked. Knowing that Hiruzen was watching, Shin held back. He didn't want to reveal too much of his strength. Chapter 52, Hiruzen Saratobi's invitation clang. Shin struck the Uchiha elite Chunin with the flat of his blade. The force of the blow sent the Chunin flying, his grip loosening on his kunai. Shin frowned. He had held back considerably, yet the Chunin was still so easily defeated. How weak. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen watched with surprise. That was quite a display of strength. But the boy was an Uzumaki, it wasn't that surprising. The Uzumaki clan was known for their strong bodies, vitality, and large chakra reserves. Attacking with the flat of your blade? Are you mocking me? The Uchiha Chunin had his pride. Shin's action had wounded it deeply. Better to be mocked than dead. Shin said calmly. The Kusanagi sword was incredibly sharp. It could easily slice through the Chunin's kunai. If Shin hadn't held back, the Chunin would be dead. But the enraged Chunin didn't care. He attacked with ninjutsu. Fire style, fireball jutsu. Shin simply swung his sword, cleaving the fireball in two. The Anbu examiner was startled. Could swordsmanship be that powerful? He rarely saw sword dart used like this. Sharingan. Two tomoe appeared in the Chunin's eyes. He was serious now. Shin used the teleportation jutsu, appearing before the Chunin in an instant. He punched the Chunin in the gut, sending him crashing to the ground. I passed, right? Shin asked the Anbu examiner. The examiner nodded, his shock evident despite the mask. Defeating an elite Chunin in under a minute? Was this kid a genius? 10-year-old Chunin weren't unheard of in Hidden Leaf Village. Orochimaru had become a Chunin at 10. But defeating an elite Chunin at that age? That was rare. Only one other person came to mind, Sakamo Hatake, Kakashi's father. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen pondered. Judging from Shin's performance, his strength was easily at Takebutsu Jonin level. Shin hadn't used any ninjutsu, so Hiruzen couldn't assess his skills in that area. But one thing was certain, this boy was a genius. Hiruzen was already considering recruiting Shin into the Anbu. After Shin's battle ended, Kushina and Mikoto also defeated their opponents. The Anbu examiner was stunned. One genius was rare, but three at once? This was unprecedented. Come with me to the Hokage's office. He escorted them back to the office and reported the results to Hiruzen. Hiruzen was also surprised. He had stopped observing after Shin's fight. He hadn't expected Kushina and Mikoto to defeat their opponents as well. Defeating an elite Chunin within 3 minutes meant their strength surpassed that of an elite Chunin. 3 geniuses at once. Hiruzen was speechless. I'm pleased you all passed the Chunin exams. I have a question for you, would you be willing to join the Anbu? Hiruzen extended the invitation to all 3 of them. He had initially only considered Shin, but now that he knew Kushina and Mikoto were also geniuses, he couldn't let them go. The Anbu, or the Anbu Black Ops, is a special assassination and tactical squad. Only the most elite shinobi are allowed to join. He explained, in case they weren't familiar with the Anbu. Kushina and Mikoto indeed weren't familiar with the Anbu, but Shin was. Almost every hidden village had an Anbu organization. But joining the Anbu? No, that had never crossed his mind. What were the benefits? With his current strength, he didn't need the Anbu's training. And joining the Anbu meant a life of secrecy and restrictions. Sandame-sama, I don't believe I'm worthy of being called an elite shinobi yet. I'm not qualified to join the Anbu. Shin refused. Kushina and Mikoto, following Shin's lead, also refused. If Shin wasn't joining, they weren't interested either. Hiruzen frowned. He was displeased. Being rejected after personally extending an invitation didn't sit well with him. Won't you reconsider? The Anbu can help you improve your skills. He was still trying to persuade them. If you join the Anbu, I'll reward you with a B-rank jutsu. Shin scoffed inwardly. A B-rank jutsu? That was all he was offering? How stingy. Even if Hiruzen offered an S-rank jutsu, Shin wouldn't be tempted. He wouldn't be lacking in S-rank jutsu in the future. Besides, Hiruzen wouldn't be that generous. We're not interested in joining any organization. We prefer freedom. And as for strength, we're not worried about that. Shin was firm in his refusal. Hiruzen sighed, giving up. He could see that Shin had no interest in the Anbu. There was no point pushing it. It would only damage his pride further. Very well. Since you're not interested, I won't force you. Here are your Chunin certificates. From now on, you are Chunin of Hidden Leaf Village. Hiruzen handed them their certificates. After they left, Hiruzen pondered. He might not have been able to recruit them into the Anbu, but he couldn't let anyone else poach them either. Especially not Denzo's root or the Uchiha clan. Mikoto was an Uchiha. Once they learned of her talent, they would definitely try to recruit her. No, he couldn't allow the Uchiha clan to have another powerful shinobi. With their ambition, they might cause trouble for the village in the future. Thankfully, Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto were all students of his disciple, Tsunade. If Denzo or the Uchiha tried to recruit them, he had a legitimate reason to intervene. He couldn't allow the Uchiha clan to become too powerful, nor could he allow Denzo's root to grow unchecked. Too much power would lead to them escaping his control. As Hokage, he couldn't allow any faction within the village to become too strong. Chapter 53, B-Rank Mission, Hunt Down a Missing Nin. When Shin and his team returned to the Senju compound, Tsunade was already there. Seeing them, she asked. Done with the exam? Yes, I'm a Chunin now. Kushina announced proudly. It's just Chunin. What's there to be proud of? Tsunade said, glancing at Kushina. The Sandaime Hokage tried to recruit us into the Anbu. Shin said, looking at Tsunade. And you agreed? No way. Joining the Anbu is boring. I crave freedom, not a life hiding in the shadows like a rat. Tsunade was speechless. He compared the Anbu to rats? If the Anbu heard that, they'd probably come after him. I'm heading to the border tomorrow. Be careful when you go on missions, especially you two. Listen to Shin. Tsunade looked at Kushina and Mikoto. She was mainly talking to Kushina. Mikoto was obedient and cautious, she wouldn't cause trouble. Kushina, on the other hand. Got it, Tsunade? You be careful too. Kushina said. Tsunade was surprised. She had expected Kushina to argue, but she actually sounded concerned. If the war breaks out, be careful on the battlefield. We don't want to hear any bad news. Shin added. Tsunade was fine in the original story, but things might be different now. Don't worry, no one can defeat me. Just don't be reckless and charge at Kage-level opponents. If you're in danger, sell out your teammates. Let Orochimaru and Jiraiya take the hit. Especially Orochimaru, he's hard to kill. Shin offered his advice. Tsunade's eye twitched. What kind of advice was that? Relax, the war won't start that easily. It might just be a show of force. Tsunade said dismissively. Shin shook his head. He knew this war would definitely happen, and it wouldn't end quickly. The next morning, Tsunade left for the Land of Fire's border. Hiruzen had mobilized a force of 3,000 shinobi. Including Geinin, Hidden Leaf Village had a little over 10,000 shinobi. 3,000 was a significant force. Let's go on a mission and have some fun outside the village. Shin said to Kushina and Mikoto. The mission was secondary, exploring the world was the real goal. At the mission assignment desk, they ran into Nawaki and his team. Shin, you're here. I thought you weren't coming. Nawaki said. Nawaki, we probably won't be able to do missions with you anymore. Nawaki was confused. Why not? We passed the Chunin exams. We're Chunin now. We won't be doing D-rank missions anymore. You should try it too, Nawaki. Kushina answered. We graduated together. Why did you become Chunin without telling me? Nawaki whined. Don't worry, Nawaki. Geinin are the strongest in Hidden Leaf Village. They can destroy the world. Shin patted Nawaki's shoulder and took the mission list, scanning it. S-rank mission, capture S-rank missing ninja Ryoto Uchiha. Shin froze. Ryoto Uchiha. If he remembered correctly, that was the guy he had a minor conflict with at the ramen shop. He had also copied Ryota's Sharingan prowess 4 times. But how did he become a missing ninja? And an S-rank one at that? S-rank missing ninja varied in strength, but they were generally Kage level or quasi-Kage level. Sorry, wrong list. The clerk took the list back. These are S-rank and A-rank missions. Chunin can't take those. Here's the correct list. He handed Shin another list. What are the requirements for taking S-rank missions? Shin asked. You need a team of at least 3 elite Jonin. The clerk replied. Fine. I'll take this mission to hunt down a Hidden Leaf Village missing ninja. Shin chose a mission to hunt down an elite Chunin level missing ninja. It was a B-rank mission. Are you sure you want to take this mission? Is there a problem? Shin frowned. Could he not even take B-rank missions? He had looked at the C-rank missions, they were all escort missions or bandit extermination. He wasn't interested in those. You can, but it's dangerous. You three are newly promoted Chunin. We'll take it. Shin said firmly. He wasn't worried about danger. Hunting down a Chunin level missing ninja shouldn't be a problem. The clerk shrugged and handed Shin the mission details. It wasn't his problem if they failed. We're still stuck with D-rank missions, and you're already doing B-rank? Nawaki, Minato, and the others looked at them with envy. They also wanted to do higher-level missions. D-rank missions were mind-numbingly boring. We're going on a mission. We'll treat you all to dinner when we get back, Shin said to them. They left Hidden Leaf Village. Unbeknownst to them, Hiruzen was informed of the mission they had taken. Hunting down an elite Chunin-level missing ninja. With their strength, they shouldn't be in any danger. Hiruzen estimated Shin's strength to be around Takebutsu Jonin level. Kushina and Mikoto could also defeat elite Chunin. He didn't think Shin was Jonin level yet. A 10-year-old Jonin was too absurd, even for him. Meanwhile, Denzo was also informed. Uzumaki Shin, Uzumaki Kushina, and Mikoto Uchiha have left Hidden Leaf Village. This is our chance. I don't want another failure. Understand? Denzo looked at the kneeling root member. His previous attempt to kill Tsunade and capture Shin had failed miserably. He had sent members to investigate, but they found nothing. The bodies had been disposed of. Denzo blamed Hiruzen for this. Hiruzen was also puzzled by Kato Dan's disappearance. He had sent Anbu to investigate, but they found nothing. He eventually concluded that Dan had been killed by enemy ninja. Chapter 54, Ganjutsu, Sukaimi? After leaving Hidden Leaf Village, Shin took out the mission details. It contained information about the missing ninja they were hunting. The missing ninja's name was Kawada Heiwa. His strength was at the level of an elite Chunin. He had defected after accidentally killing a comrade during a heated argument. He had been gone for half a year and was suspected to be hiding in the land of whirlpools. Shin paused when he saw that. Kushina, peering over his shoulder, also froze. We're going to the land of whirlpools? Kushina asked, looking up at Shin. Yeah, I wonder what it's like now. Mikoto looked at them. She knew the land of whirlpools was their former home, a place filled with both good and bad memories. When we left, I didn't think we'd ever go back. Shin wasn't one to dwell on sentimentality. We'll have to take a ship. Do you get seasick, Mikoto? I've never been on a ship before. I don't know. Mikoto replied. Kushina's face paled. She suddenly remembered her unfortunate tendency to get seasick. Can we not take a ship? She asked weakly. Sure, you can always run there on water. Shin offered an alternative. It wasn't entirely a joke. The land of whirlpools wasn't that far from the land of fire. It was doable. Okay, let's run to the land of whirlpools, Kushina declared, clapping her hands. Shin shrugged. He didn't mind. But before we go, we have a tale to deal with. I don't like being followed. Come on out. Shin's voice turned cold. The root member hiding in the shadows was startled. Discovered? How did he know? Since he had been found out, there was no point hiding. As an elite Jonin, he didn't need to rely on sneak attacks to deal with 3 Chunin. An Anbu? Kushina and Mikoto saw his attire and assumed he was Anbu. Not Anbu. Root. Denzo's lackey. One of the guys who attacked us before. Shin corrected them. Hearing that he was one of Denzo's men, Kushina and Mikoto prepared for battle. From Shin and Tsunade, they had learned that Denzo was a bad guy. Just how much does that geezer Denzo hate me? Shin wondered. He had barely left the village, and Denzo had already sent someone after him. You bastard. You killed my comrades. Denzo-sama ordered me to kill you. You're here to kill us? Kushina clenched her fists, ready to fight. She wasn't going to be bullied. But Shin stopped her. Kushina, he's an elite Jonin. You're not strong enough. If it were a regular Jonin, he might let Kushina spar with him, but against an elite? She didn't stand a chance. An elite Jonin, huh? Fine, I'll let you off the hook for now. Kushina stepped back, letting Shin handle this. She wasn't worried. She had seen Shin slaughter elite Jonin before. I'll use you to test my Ganjutsu. Shin hadn't had a chance to test his Ganjutsu since acquiring the Kurama clan's KK Genkai. This was the perfect opportunity. Denzo was a lifesaver, sending him a free sparring partner. Shin looked at the root member, and in a flash, pulled him into a Ganjutsu world. This world was constructed from Shin's imagination. It was a dark and eerie place. The root member found himself bound to a cross. Is this Ganjutsu? He wasn't panicked. He tried to disrupt his chakra flow to break free. But to his horror, it didn't work. He couldn't even sense his chakra. It was as if he had become a normal human. It's useless. Enjoy your suffering. Shin drew his sword and used the root member as a training dummy, slashing and stabbing him repeatedly. The member didn't know how many times he died. Each time he was killed, he would revive, only to be killed again. After dozens of deaths, his eyes glazed over, his mind broken. In this Kanjutsu world, everything, including time, space, and even the laws of physics, was under Shin's control. It was a mental assault that could crush even the strongest minds. Shin's Kanjutsu was similar to the Mengekyo Sharingan's Tsukaimi, which Obito had called the ultimate mental attack. Of course, Obito's words weren't always trustworthy, but Tsukaimi was undeniably powerful. Shin didn't have Tsukaimi. His Mengekyo Sharingan abilities were Yamatsu Hirasaka and Tenmomai. This Tsukaimi-like Kanjutsu was something he had developed after copying the Kurama clan's Kekkei Genkai. He called it Tsukaimi as well. Its effects were the same as the original Tsukaimi. He didn't bother thinking of a new name. Once the Kanjutsu was released, Shin looked at the unconscious root member and shook his head. A single Tsukaimi had broken him. Shin hadn't even used his other Kanjutsu, the one that could control the five senses. What happened to him? Kushina asked. They hadn't even fought, and the guy was already down. From their perspective, Shin had simply looked at the man, and he had collapsed. Was it Kanjutsu? Mikoto asked. Yep. Shin confirmed. Looking at the unconscious root member, Shin threw a kunai, piercing his heart. He wouldn't show mercy to his enemies. Mercy to the enemy was cruelty to himself. He lived by that motto. In the world of shinobi, there was no room for sentimentality. We can't leave the body here. Shin thought for a moment, then incinerated the corpse with a fireball jutsu. They continued on their journey to the land of whirlpools. Denzo didn't yet know that he had lost another elite jonin. Denzo didn't have many elite jonin to spare. Including Kato Dan, Shin had now killed 4 of them. Denzo must be furious. Perhaps after this, he would stop targeting Shin. He had already suffered heavy losses. Until he understood what was happening, he wouldn't dare attack Shin again. Elite jonin weren't easy to replace. Training one took years. Denzo couldn't afford to lose any more. Chapter 55, The girls team up. After 2 days of travel, Shin and his team finally arrived in the land of whirlpools. This is the land of whirlpools? Mikoto looked around in surprise. There was no one in sight, only dilapidated buildings. It is. Looks a bit run down, doesn't it? Shin surveyed the surroundings. It wasn't always like this. It used to be a beautiful country. But after the Uzumaki clan was destroyed, the land of whirlpools ceased to exist. The people of the land of whirlpools had abandoned the island nation after the Uzumaki clan's downfall. It's so big. How are we supposed to find that missing ninja? Kushina asked. The land of whirlpools wasn't huge, but it wasn't small either. Finding someone here would be difficult. Don't worry, I have the mind's eye of Kagura. Shin reminded her. Finding an ordinary person might be challenging, but finding a shinobi was easy. He could sense chakra within a radius of several dozen kilometers. As long as the missing ninja had chakra, he couldn't escape Shin's detection. After some searching, Shin finally sensed a chakra signature. But its location was unexpected. Did you find him? Kushina asked impatiently. Yeah, but he's at our old house. Kushina was surprised, and Mikoto looked curious. Their old house? Let's go. Shin led Kushina and Mikoto towards their former home. Is this where you used to live? Mikoto asked Kushina. Yeah, this was our house. I can't believe someone's squatting here now. Kushina was indignant. Even though they had abandoned it, it was still their home. Hey, you squatter. Get out here. Kushina yelled. Kawada Heiwa, the missing ninja, emerged from the house. He wore a Hidden Leaf Village forehead protector with a scratch across it, signifying his status as a missing ninja. Shin didn't understand why missing ninjas still wore their old forehead protectors. Was it to show which village they had betrayed? Who are you? Heiwa frowned at them. He had been here for a while and hadn't seen anyone else. You're Kawada Heiwa, the Hidden Leaf Village missing ninja, right? We're here to take you down. Heiwa burst out laughing. Is Hidden Leaf Village that desperate? Sending 3 brats after me? He scoffed. Don't underestimate us. Shin, you stay back. I'll take them. Kushina declared. Shin nodded. He wasn't planning on interfering anyway. This mission was mainly for Kushina and Mikoto's benefit. Kushina, Mikoto, he's all yours. Shin said. I can handle him myself. Kushina used the adamantine sealing chains. Several chakra chains erupted from her back, whipping towards Heiwa. Heiwa's eyes widened, and he leaped back, narrowly dodging the attack. You're not getting away that easily. The chains, under Kushina's control, pursued him relentlessly. Mikoto activated her Sharingan. She could see Heiwa's movements clearly. She swiftly threw several shuriken, blocking his escape routes. Heiwa's face paled. If he dodged the chains, he would be hit by the shuriken. And he didn't have time to use the substitution jutsu. Mikoto had seized the perfect opportunity. Even Shin was impressed. Nice teamwork, Mikoto and Kushina. He praised. Damn it. Two little girls, cornering me like this. A shuriken was embedded in Heiwa's arm, blood dripping to the ground. He had chosen to block the shuriken with his arm to avoid the chakra chains. Kushina, keep attacking. Don't let him use any jutsu. Mikoto instructed. Jutsu required hand seals. If he couldn't form hand seals, he couldn't use jutsu. Kushina nodded and disrupted his attempts to weave hand seals with her chains. The intel was wrong. This guy is stronger than an elite chunin. His speed is comparable to a jonin's. Shin observed Heiwa's movements. If he were just an elite chunin, he wouldn't be able to dodge Kushina's adamantine sealing chain so easily. Fire style, dragon flame jutsu. Mikoto seized the opportunity and unleashed a stream of fire towards Heiwa. The dragon flame jutsu was only a C rank, but it could still kill. The human body was fragile. The flames could pierce a tree, burning through flesh was no problem. Kushina's chains closed in from all sides, leaving Heiwa with no escape. You think you can kill me with just this? Water style, water trumpet. Trapped, Heiwa used a water jutsu to counter Mikoto's flames. But the moment he did, Kushina's chains bound him tightly. It was a fatal blow. He had avoided being burned, but he couldn't escape the chains. As a ninjutsu specialist, he didn't have the strength to break free. The adamantine sealing chains could even restrain tailed beasts. I never thought I'd be defeated by two little girls. Heiwa said, his voice filled with regret. There's a lot you haven't thought of. You underestimated us. Still think we're weak? Kushina sneered. If you kill me, you'll only get a measly reward. Why not let me go? I'll give you all my jutsu and money. Heiwa tried to bargain. Do you think jutsu can be measured with money? Kushina and Mikoto looked at Shin. The decision was his. Kill him. Shin said coldly. What jutsu could this guy possibly have that would interest him? Mikoto threw a kunai, ending Heiwa's life. Their mission was complete. But Shin wasn't planning on returning to Hidden Leaf Village yet. He had come all this way, he wasn't going to rush back. Chapter 56, Infiltrating Hidden Mist Village. Kawada. Heiwa is dead. Are we going back? Mikoto asked Shin. Shin, let's stay out here and play for a bit longer, okay? Kushina pleaded, tugging on his arm. Call me big brother, and I'll agree. Shin said with a smirk. No way. I'm older than you. You should be calling me big sister. Kushina retorted, turning away with a huff. Kushina, you're older than Shin? Mikoto looked at Kushina in surprise. She hadn't noticed. Of course. I was born 3 days earlier. Kushina said proudly. What's there to be proud of? Shin flicked her forehead, earning him a yelp. Seeing her pout, Shin quickly changed the subject. We're not going back to Hidden Leaf Village just yet. You agreed. Kushina's pout vanished, and she clung to his arm excitedly. We're going to the Land of Water. Shin looked towards the Land of Water. The Land of Water? Why? Kushina and Mikoto asked in unison. Hidden Mist Village was definitely involved in the Uzumaki clan massacre. Time to collect some interest. But is it safe to go there? Just the three of us? Mikoto asked worriedly. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. We won't be in any danger. Shin smiled confidently. In the current shinobi world, even Madara Uchiha couldn't threaten him. If he couldn't win, he could always escape. They left the Land of Whirlpools and returned to the Land of Fire, then took a ship to the Land of Water. We can't escape the fate of riding a ship, huh? Kushina grumbled. Kushina, just because you got seasick last time doesn't mean you will this time. See? You're not feeling sick at all. Shin reassured her. After a day's journey, they arrived on a small island in the Land of Water. It wasn't the main island, but one of the smaller ones surrounding it. This time, Kushina didn't get seasick, and neither did Mikoto. Kushina, Mikoto, I've scouted the island. It's safe. Stay here for now. Shin said. He had already told them about his plan to infiltrate Hidden Mist Village. He wasn't taking them with him. He could protect himself, but taking Kushina and Mikoto into Hidden Mist Village was too risky. I know we'll just hold you back, so we won't go. But you have to be back within 3 days, or we'll come looking for you. Kushina said seriously. She wasn't going to throw a tantrum and demand to go with him. She knew she'd be a burden. But she set a deadline. If Shin didn't return within 3 days, she would go to Hidden Mist Village to find him. Shin, be careful. Mikoto said. Don't worry, I can always escape if I can't win. With my space-time ninjutsu, no one can stop me, Shin said confidently. He had a trump card, after all. Hidden Mist Village wasn't the weakened village it would become after the Bloody Mist era. It was still a powerful force. Shin was strong, but he couldn't take on an entire village alone. Only those at the level of Madara Uchiha or Hashirama Senju could do that. It took him less than half an hour to reach the main island. After asking around, he found the location of Hidden Mist Village. He killed a Hidden Mist Village shinobi and used the transformation jutsu to disguise himself, entering the village undetected. The guards at the village gates couldn't see through his disguise. The current Mizukage is the third Mizukage. I wonder how strong he is. Shin sat in a ramen shop, pondering. Information on the third Mizukage was scarce. Shin didn't even know his abilities. But he was sure the third Mizukage wasn't that strong. If he were, he wouldn't have been controlled by an elderly Madara Uchiha. Although it wasn't explicitly stated, Shin suspected that the third Mizukage had been under Madara's control during the Third Shinobi World War. He didn't know if that was still the case. He finished his ramen. It was quite good. Shin had several objectives in Hidden Mist Village. One was to acquire KK Genkai. The Kaguya clan in Hidden Mist Village possessed the Shikatsumyaku KK Genkai. They were suspected to be related to Kaguya Otsutsuki. Perhaps Shikatsumyaku was derived from the all-killing ash bones. It was just speculation, but it didn't really matter. Shin wasn't interested in copying Shikatsumyaku. He had two reasons. First, it had a drawback, the Shikatsumyaku disease. Although he had the perfect sage body and theoretically shouldn't be affected, he didn't want to risk it. Second, not every Kaguya clan member possessed Shikatsumyaku. Perhaps there weren't any with an awakened KK Genkai right now. He wanted the ice style of the Mizunashi clan. A clan of ice style users, and he also wanted the Forbidden Scroll, which contained Hidden Mist Village's secret jutsu. First, copy ice style. Then, try to steal the Forbidden Scroll. The scroll was a valuable item, obtaining it wouldn't be easy. Shin didn't have high hopes. He used his Sharingan to hypnotize several Hidden Mist Village shinobi and learn the location of the Mizunashi clan. He infiltrated the Mizunashi clan compound and copied the ice style from a clan member. Not every Mizunashi had awakened ice style. It took Shin a while to find a suitable target. He used an advanced replication card. He now had one advanced card left and one common card. Although he had copied the ice style KK Genkai, he didn't know any ice style jutsu. To avoid causing a commotion, he didn't search for any scrolls within the Mizunashi clan compound. It didn't matter. He was confident he could create his own ice style jutsu, and they would be even stronger than the Mizunashis. He went to a small forest in Hidden Mist Village and waited for nightfall. Copying ice style was done. Stealing the Forbidden Scroll during the day was too risky. He would wait until the dead of night. In the shinobi world, the dead of night wasn't the best time to act. Shinobi were more alert at night. The best time was just before dawn, when their guard was down. Shin decided to wait. He leaned against a tree and refined chakra. He also activated the mind's eye of Kagura, scanning Hidden Mist Village. Chapter 57, The Forbidden Scroll acquired at 4 in the morning, Shin opened his eyes, transformed his appearance into that of an adult, and donned a 3-Tomoe Sharingan mask. This mask was identical to the one Obito Uchiha wore during the Fourth Shinobi World War. He couldn't use his true appearance to steal Hidden Mist Village's Forbidden Scroll. Whether he succeeded or failed, he would become a wanted man. You coveted the Uzumaki clan sealing jutsu. Now it's my turn to covet yours. Shin smirked, his figure melting into the darkness. At this hour, the night was still deep. Shin moved swiftly towards the Mizukage Tower. Who's there? He had barely entered the building when he was discovered. He sighed inwardly. Despite his strength, he was still a novice at infiltration. Sneaking into Hidden Mist Village was one thing, but infiltrating the heavily guarded Mizukage Tower was another. Hey, guys, I'm just here for a stroll. Trust me. Shin asked the Anbu surrounding him. Hidden Mist Village's Anbu were dressed differently from Hidden Leaf Village's Anbu, but the differences were minor. They also wore masks to conceal their identities. The Hidden Mist Village Anbu glared at him, their killing intent palpable. You're clearly here to cause trouble. A stroll? Yeah, right. They were especially annoyed by Shin's mask. Everyone was wearing masks, but his was way cooler. Sorry to bother you. Goodbye. Shin used the teleportation jutsu to escape. The Anbu immediately gave chase. Once they were gone, Shin emerged from the shadows. Idiots. Fooled by a shadow clone. The one who had escaped wasn't the real Shin. He had used the substitution jutsu to swap with a shadow clone. He was too fast, they hadn't noticed the switch. Shin quickly made his way to the Mizukage's office. Such an important item would definitely be kept there. He had already scanned the office with the mind's eye of Kagura. The third Mizukage wasn't there. The Mizukage had to sleep, after all. He wouldn't be staying in his office. And since there had never been an incident of someone infiltrating the Mizukage tower, the security wasn't as tight as Shin had expected. Ganjutsu, Kyoka Suigetsu. This was the five senses control of the Kurama clan. Shin had given it a name, Kyoka Suigetsu. It could only briefly control the five senses, unlike Aizen's complete hypnosis, but Shin liked the name. Although it wasn't as powerful as Aizen's Shike, it had an advantage. It didn't require eye contact. Shin could control the target's five senses without them even seeing him. After activating Kyoka Suigetsu, Shin swaggered into the Mizukage's office. The guards stationed outside didn't react. Their five senses were under his control. They saw and heard what Shin wanted them to see and hear. Under this Ganjutsu, they were puppets, unaware of their surroundings or even their own deaths. Shin wondered why the Kurama clan, with such a powerful KK Genkai, was still a small clan. They couldn't use it as effectively as him, though. Their mental power was weaker, and their chakra reserves were smaller. The stronger the jutsu, the greater the chakra cost. They couldn't afford to use it often. Even Kurama-K's, the only Kurama with an awakened KK Genkai, struggled to control the five senses of a single Jonin. Shin started searching the office, but he couldn't find the forbidden scroll. He almost turned the place upside down. Could it be somewhere else? He frowned. He continued searching, and finally, he found a hidden compartment. Inside was the forbidden scroll of Hidden Mist Village. It was a huge scroll with the words Forbidden Scroll clearly written on it. There was also another sealed scroll beside it. Shin took that as well. Anything kept with the forbidden scroll had to be valuable. Just as he secured the scrolls, a group of Anbu stormed in. "Welcome back." Shin greeted them casually. "Bastard. The one who escaped was your shadow clone." The Anbu leader roared. They hadn't caught the clone, but they had realized they had been tricked. They rushed back, but it was too late. Shin had already found the forbidden scroll. The third Mizukage also arrived. Someone must have informed him of the commotion. He entered his office and saw the open compartment. His face hardened. "Where's the forbidden scroll? Hand it over." He glared at Shin. "You think I'd return something I already have?" Shin looked at him as if he were an idiot. "Who are you?" The Mizukage didn't attack. He questioned Shin's identity. This intruder had guts, infiltrating Hidden Mist Village and stealing the forbidden scroll. And he was so calm, facing him and the Anbu. He was either an idiot or had a trump card. "Who am I?" Shin smirked. "I am Madara Uchiha." He altered his voice, mimicking Madara's tone. The Mizukage paused, then scowled. "You're mocking me. Do you think I'm that gullible?" Everyone knew Madara Uchiha was dead. He had fought Hashirama Senju in the Valley of the End and been killed. Hashirama had also been mortally wounded in that battle. The deaths of Hashirama and Madara had triggered the First Shinobi World War. If either of them had survived, no one would have dared to start a war. Why would I lie to a mere child? Shin's Mengekyo Sharingan activated, his imposing aura pressing down on the Mizukage. The Mizukage stumbled back, staring at the Mengekyo Sharingan in fear. Even those outside Hidden Leaf Village knew of the Mengekyo Sharingan, the ultimate dojutsu that had allowed Madara Uchiha to dominate the shinobi world. Chapter 58, The Might of Susanoo in the Mizukage's office. Shin stared coldly at the third Mizukage. Neither the Mizukage nor the Anbu made a move. The Anbu looked at the Mizukage nervously, waiting for his orders. "Who are you?" "Impersonating Madara Uchiha. Do you think I don't know that he was killed by the Shodame Hokage in the Valley of the End?" The Mizukage's voice was glacial. Shin scoffed. There was no need to explain. The more he said, the more likely he was to slip up. He could escape now that he had the forbidden scroll, but he couldn't leave without making an impression. This was also for revenge for the Uzumaki clan. Susanoo. Black chakra materialized around Shin, forming arms and ribs, then a skeletal frame. Muscles and tendons appeared, followed by a flesh-like covering. Finally, a tangle-like armor materialized, completing the 50-meter-tall warrior god, a long katana strapped to its waist. Shin's Susanoo was black, like Amaterasu flames, an intimidating demonic figure. The only flaw was that it only had an upper body. He needed the eternal Mengekyo Sharingan to manifest the full-bodied Susanoo. It was difficult to use the perfect Susanoo with just the Mengekyo Sharingan. In the original story, only Kakashi had done it during the Fourth Shinobi World War. And Kakashi had only been able to use it because he had received Obito's chakra, which contained remnants of the Sage of Six Paths power. Shin's current Susanoo couldn't have legs, But he was still a genius for manifesting the strongest form possible with the Mangekyo Sharingan. His immense ocular power and chakra reserves made this possible. The moment his Susanoo appeared, the Mizukage Tower was reduced to rubble. The Mizukage and the Anbu were sent flying by the shockwave. Some of the weaker Anbu were killed instantly. The third Mizukage stared at the 50-meter-tall Susanoo in terror. It was like facing a tailed beast, no, something even stronger. He almost believed Shin was Madara Uchiha. He had never seen Madara Uchiha in person. He didn't know that Madara's Susanoo was blue, while Shin's was black. Shin grumbled. His Susanoo only had a katana, and it didn't have any special abilities. He looked at the Mizukage and the others, a cold smile hidden behind his mask. They couldn't see his expression, but they could sense the danger. The Mizukage didn't bother warning the others. He used the teleportation jutsu to escape. Just as he moved, the Susanoo's massive fist slammed down, crushing several Anbu where they stood. Even those who weren't crushed were injured by the shockwave. As expected from Susanoo. This destructive power is insane. Shin was pleased. Damn it. Water style, Great Waterfall Jutsu. The Mizukage watched in fury as over a dozen of his men were killed, including several Jonin. Jonin were elite forces. Losing so many in an instant. He had to do something. The Great Waterfall Jutsu was a knee-rank ninjutsu that created a massive torrent of water, powerful enough to rival a natural disaster. But it had no effect on the Susanoo. The attack even destroyed several buildings in Hidden Mist Village. Other shinobi attacked with kunai, explosive tags, and shuriken, but their attacks couldn't penetrate the Susanoo's defenses. The Susanoo's defenses were among the strongest in the shinobi world. And its offensive power was even greater. Shin slowly drew the katana from the Susanoo's waist. The Mizukage tensed. Defend. He roared. This giant could cause unimaginable destruction with its fists. With a sword? He didn't even want to imagine it. The Mizukage and the other shinobi formed a water wall. Will this even work? Shin drew the black katana. Slash. The black blade flashed, cleaving through the water wall and bisecting the shinobi in its path. The others were blown away by the force of the attack. I like this feeling. Shin smiled, enjoying the overwhelming power. The ground cracked, a long fissure snaking outwards. Some shinobi fell into the chasm, breaking their limbs. Shin's single slash had killed dozens. They wanted to dodge, but the attack was too fast. To ordinary shinobi, the Susanoo was a weapon of mass destruction. Their attacks couldn't harm it, but it could easily wipe them out. Stop this. Whether you're Madara Uchiha or not, as the Mizukage, I won't allow you to wreak havoc in my village. The third Mizukage charged towards the Susanoo. Shin watched calmly. The Mizukage's attacks couldn't harm the Susanoo. To break through its defenses, he needed powerful jutsu, which the Mizukage clearly didn't have. Ignoring the Mizukage, Shin turned his attention to the other shinobi. Attacking the Mizukage was pointless. As a Kage, he was difficult to kill quickly. The Mizukage might not be able to harm the Susanoo, but killing him wouldn't be easy either. Shin couldn't stay in Hidden Mist Village for long. The Jinchuriki and other powerful shinobi would arrive soon. He had to take advantage of the situation before they arrived. He wasn't strong enough to take on the entire village yet. If all of Hidden Mist Village's forces gathered, even his Susanoo would be destroyed. It wasn't the perfect Susanoo, after all. Ignoring the Mizukage, Shin swung the Susanoo's sword, each swing claiming several lives. He was a Grim Reaper, harvesting souls. Chapter 59, Leaving in Style. The fury of Hidden Mist Village. The deafening roar of the Susanoo echoed throughout Hidden Mist Village, sending villagers scrambling for safety as ninja ushered them away. Powerful shinobi converged on the ruins of the Mizukage Tower, their faces contorted with rage as they beheld the towering Susanoo. Kaguya clan, attack. The Kaguya clan head, a fierce warrior, led the charge, followed by a horde of battle-hungry Kaguya. TSK, more and more are gathering. Shin noticed cracks appearing on the Susanoo's armor, but he wasn't worried. Ants can still bite an elephant to death. The relentless attacks were taking their toll. Even the Susanoo was starting to buckle. Seeing the widening cracks, Shin quickly channeled chakra to repair the damage. The Hidden Mist Village shinobi, who had cheered at the sight of the damaged Susanoo, now felt despair as the cracks vanished. Sensing their despair, the third Mizukage yelled. Don't give up. Maintaining that Susanoo must be draining. We can outlast him. He was right. The Susanoo was powerful, but it consumed a lot of energy. Shin could handle the chakra consumption, but it was also draining his ocular power. His Mangekyo Sharingan couldn't withstand prolonged use. He cut down several Kaguya with his sword, then deactivated the Susanoo. He couldn't afford to exhaust his ocular power. He needed it to escape with Yamatsu Hirasaka. He's weakening. Keep attacking. The third Mizukage shouted excitedly. Fire style, Great Dragon Fire Jutsu. A massive fire dragon erupted, incinerating several hidden mist village shinobi before being extinguished by the Mizukage's water-style jutsu. Kill him. The Mizukage roared. A barrage of ninjutsu, kunai, and shuriken rained down on Shin. I'm done playing with you. Shin activated Yamatsu Hirasaka, stepping through a portal. The portal vanished, and the attacks missed their mark. Mizukage-sama, he's gone. An elite jonin reported. The Mizukage's face was grim. Hidden Mist Village had suffered heavy casualties, and they hadn't even captured the intruder. They didn't even know how he had escaped. Search the entire village. I don't believe he can escape Hidden Mist Village. Find him. The Mizukage roared in fury. They had lost over 300 shinobi, including jonin and even elite jonin. The Suzunu's destructive power was immense. If the Mizukage hadn't ordered the weaker shinobi to retreat, the casualties would have been even higher. And they hadn't even injured the intruder. He had even stolen the Forbidden Scroll. The loss of the Forbidden Scroll was a devastating blow. It contained many of Hidden Mist Village's secret jutsu. Fire. Fire. We need to put out the fires. A shinobi shouted. The Mizukage snapped out of his rage and looked around. Fires were raging throughout the village. Shin had set the village ablaze with shadow clones before escaping. Shin watched the burning village without a shred of sympathy. Hidden Mist Village had been involved in the Uzumaki clan massacre. He wouldn't show them any mercy. Time to go. He had what he came for. He had taken his revenge. It was time to leave. He used Yamatsu Hirasaka to teleport back to Kushina and Mikoto. It was still early morning, the sky still dark. Kushina and Mikoto were asleep in a tent they had set up. Shin appeared inside the tent. Kushina and Mikoto woke up instantly, reaching for their kunai. Good, you're alert. Shin said, pleased. It was important to be vigilant, especially when outside the village. Shin, you're back. Kushina launched herself at Shin, and Mikoto also rushed over. Shin, are you hurt? Mikoto scanned him for injuries. Of course not. Those Hidden Mist Village weaklings couldn't even touch me. Shin reassured Mikoto. They hadn't been able to break through his Suzunu's defenses. And even if he had been injured, he could always use Tenmomai to rewind time and heal himself. Relieved that he was unharmed, Kushina and Mikoto went to prepare breakfast. Shin was hungry, so they got to work. Breakfast in the wilderness was barbecue. Shin went hunting, Mikoto prepared the ingredients, and Kushina gathered firewood. While Shin and his team enjoyed their breakfast, the Hidden Mist Village shinobi were fuming. They had extinguished the fires Shin had set, but the damage was extensive. The third Mizukage personally led the search for Shin, but they couldn't find him. Shin had already left. How could they find him? Mizukage-sama, what should we do? We can't let this go. The Hidden Mist Village shinobi were frustrated and angry. They were one of the 5 great villages. Someone had infiltrated their village, killed hundreds of their shinobi, burned down countless houses, and escaped. This was a disgrace. If they found Shin, they would make him pay. The Mizukage was the most furious of all. He had failed to protect the Forbidden Scroll. He had no face left. He opened his eyes, which were usually closed, revealing a chilling glint. He was a Tajitame, someone with perpetually closed eyes, and when a Tajitame opened their eyes, it meant trouble. Uchiha. Hidden Leaf Village. He gritted his teeth. He would make Hidden Leaf Village pay for this. He wouldn't let this go. Shin had claimed to be Madara Uchiha, but the Mizukage didn't believe that. But he was certain the intruder was an Uchiha. Calm the villagers. I will handle this. The Mizukage said to the other shinobi. He would send someone to Hidden Leaf Village to demand an explanation. The Mangekyo Sharingan was unmistakable. He would hold Hidden Leaf Village and the Uchiha clan accountable. Shin had tried to use Madara as a scapegoat, but the Mizukage didn't believe Madara was alive. Now Hidden Leaf Village and the Uchiha clan would bear the brunt of his anger. Chapter 60, Steaming Danger Tyranny. Shin took out the Forbidden Scroll and the other sealed scroll he had acquired. These scrolls weren't easily opened. They were protected by seals. An ordinary person wouldn't be able to access the jutsu within, but Shin was different. He was an Uzumaki. Mito had taught him everything she knew about Fuinjutsu. Sealing Jutsu. Shin easily dispelled the rudimentary seals and opened the Forbidden Scroll. It contained many water-style jutsu. What's that? Kushina and Mikoto approached, their eyes fixed on the large scroll. This is one of my trophies from Hidden Mist Village, their Forbidden Scroll. Unfortunately, there aren't many jutsu worth learning. Shin skimmed through the scroll. The strongest jutsu was probably the second Mizukage's Steaming Danger Tyranny. This jutsu was known as the Infinite Explosion Ninjutsu. It created clones with the appearance of children, formed from oil and water. These clones were fast, agile, and could explode repeatedly. The outer layer of the clones was made of oil, while the inside was filled with water. Once the clone moved, the oil would heat up rapidly, causing the water to evaporate and create a steam explosion. The clone would then shrink and absorb the surrounding water vapor to create more explosions, an endless cycle. But this powerful jutsu had a drawback: it weakened the user. The second Sushi Kage's body was covered in bandages because he had been burned by this jutsu during a battle with the second Mizukage. Besides this jutsu, there was also the Hazuki clan's water gun jutsu, a B rank, and the A rank water style, Great Waterfall jutsu. There was also a terrifying Genjutsu from the first Mizukage, Mirage. But it required the summon, the clam, to use. So, no matter how powerful it was useless to Shin. Besides, Shin didn't need it. His Genjutsu was far superior, thanks to his Mengekyo Sharingan and 5 senses control. See if there's anything you want to learn. Shin handed the scroll to Kushina and Mikoto. He was disappointed. Hidden Mist Village was so weak. There wasn't a single jutsu that caught his eye. Perhaps his standards were too high. He was looking for jutsu with immense destructive power. Ordinary jutsu didn't interest him. While Kushina and Mikoto looked through the scroll, Shin unsealed the other scroll. It contained money. A lot of money. 10 billion ryo, to be exact. It must have been Hidden Mist Village's budget. Shin had inadvertently stolen their funds. Looks like we won't have to worry about money anymore. Shin smiled faintly. Kushina, however, tossed the forbidden scroll aside and hugged the pile of money. Kushina, you're such a money grubber. Shin teased. This is all mine now, Kushina declared, sealing the money back into the scroll. Hidden Mist Village must be furious, Mikoto said worriedly. Shin knew what she was worried about. Don't worry, Mikoto. No matter how much they investigate, they won't find me. And by the time they do, it'll be too late. No one would suspect him. His age was his best disguise. And he had used the transformation jutsu and a mask. By the time Hidden Mist Village discovered the truth, it would be too late. He would be strong enough to crush them. Even if they found out, they wouldn't be able to do anything. They'd have to swallow their anger and accept their loss. Let's go to the main island of the Land of Water, Shin said. Shouldn't we leave the Land of Water? Hidden Mist Village won't let this go, Mikoto said. They had stolen the Forbidden Scroll, it was too dangerous to stay. It would be a shame to leave just like that. Let's explore the Land of Water and broaden our horizons. I agree, Kushina chimed in. Seeing Mikoto's worry, Shin smiled. Don't worry, Mikoto. Even if we're discovered, I can get us out of here. Yamatsu Hirasaka ignored distance. He could teleport them back to Hidden Leaf Village, though the chakra cost would be immense. By the way, do you want to learn any of the jutsu in the Forbidden Scroll? Shin asked. I don't have water-style chakra. Most of the jutsu in there are water-style, Mikoto said. She was a genius, possessing wind, lightning, and yin style. Chakra natures could be acquired through training, but it was a long and arduous process. Having multiple innate chakra natures was definitely an advantage. I'll try to learn some, Kushina said. She had wind, water, and yang style. She could learn water jutsu, and she had taken an interest in the steaming danger tyranny. It was an S-rank jutsu. Seeing Shin use the Rasen Shuriken, she understood the power of S-rank jutsu. Their destructive power and range were terrifying, even on the battlefield. Ordinary shinobi had limited chakra. Even if they learned an S-rank jutsu, they could only use it as a trump card. But Kushina, as an Uzumaki, had enough chakra to spam S-rank jutsu. Of course, that was in the future. Currently, her chakra reserves weren't that vast. Once she reached Kage level, her chakra would rival that of a tailed beast. Perhaps not the 9 tails, but at least the 8 tails. Shin used Yamatsu Hirasaka to transport them to the main island of the Land of Water. There were people here. The Land of Water doesn't seem as prosperous as the Land of Fire, Kushina observed, looking at the houses and the people's attire. It was clearly a step down from the Land of Fire. In terms of wealth, no other nation could compare to the Land of Fire, thanks to its fertile lands and strategic location. Chapter 61, The Third Mizukage Demands Justice. In the Hokage's office, Hiruzen Sarutobi puffed on his pipe, a troubled expression on his face. The sudden arrival of a delegation from Hidden Mist Village, led by the third Mizukage himself, was unexpected. Hiruzen couldn't believe that the Mizukage had came to Hidden Leaf Village. He wouldn't dare visit another hidden village. If the village had ill intentions, even a powerful shinobi could be captured or killed. Unless you were at the level of Hashirama Senju or Madara Uchiha, visiting another village was practically suicide. Although the delegation was led by the third Mizukage, Hiruzen wasn't entirely sure it was really him. The third Mizukage was shrouded in mystery. Even Hiruzen didn't know what he looked like. Hidden Mist Village was an isolated village, rarely interacting with the mainland. And the third Mizukage was a reclusive leader. It wasn't surprising that Hiruzen didn't know him. Hiruzen pondered the situation. The door opened, and Denzo entered, along with the two elders, Hamura Midokado and Koharu Utatane. Hiruzen had summoned him to discuss the third Mizukage's visit. You know why I called you here? The third Mizukage has suddenly visited Hidden Leaf Village. What do you think his motive is? Hiruzen got straight to the point. He had already met with the Mizukage, but the meeting hadn't gone well. The Mizukage had been blunt and accusatory. Although Hiruzen was angry, he kept his cool and arranged for them to stay at Hidden Leaf Village's guest house, treating them with courtesy. Whatever his reason, as a Kage, leaving his village to visit another is foolish. Denzo scoffed. With Hidden Sand Village making moves against us, now is not the time to fight Hidden Mist Village. Hiruzen looked at Denzo sternly. This was one of the reasons he had summoned Denzo, not just to discuss the Mizukage's visit, but also to warn him. Denzo met his gaze and nodded. He wasn't stupid enough to act rashly. Attacking the Mizukage now would only bring trouble. Besides, he wasn't even sure if it was really the third Mizukage. He didn't believe the Mizukage would do something so reckless. Unless they had a very close relationship, a Kage wouldn't risk visiting another hidden village. Hokage-sama, the Hidden Mist Village delegation requests an audience. A shinobi entered and announced. Hiruzen frowned, then nodded. Bring them to the meeting room. Let's go meet them. Hiruzen led Denzo and the elders to the meeting room. The third Mizukage and several elite jonin were already waiting. It was indeed the Mizukage. The third Mizukage is quite young. Denzo remarked, looking at the Mizukage. Indeed, compared to Hiruzen, the Mizukage looked much younger. Sandame Hokage, I am here to demand justice. The Mizukage ignored Denzo and glared at Hiruzen. Denzo scowled but didn't say anything. He sat down, followed by Hamura and Koharu. Hiruzen frowned. Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Mist Village had no conflict. What justice was the Mizukage talking about? Your Hidden Leaf Village shinobi infiltrated my village and stole our forbidden scroll. What do you have to say for yourself, Sandame Hokage? The Mizukage stood up, his eyes narrowed dangerously. Killing intent filled the room, prompting Hidden Leaf Village's Anbu to emerge from the shadows. Mizukage-sama, are you mistaken? Hiruzen was confused. He had never sent anyone to steal Hidden Mist Village's forbidden scroll. Could it be Denzo? He glanced at Denzo, then shook his head. Denzo didn't have the ability to pull off something like that. Honestly, even Hiruzen didn't think he could infiltrate Hidden Mist Village and steal the forbidden scroll. The scroll was a valuable item, it would be heavily guarded. And even if someone managed to steal it, they'd have to escape Hidden Mist Village's forces. But seeing the Mizukage's fury, it seemed the scroll was indeed gone. Humphrey, can't even protect your own village's forbidden scroll. Useless. Denzo sneered. The Mizukage, who usually had a calm demeanor, was enraged. He slammed his hand on the table, shattering it. Hiruzen glared at Denzo, then looked at the Mizukage. Mizukage-sama, how do you know it was a Hidden Leaf Village shinobi? The Sharingan. The Mangekyo Sharingan. You can't fake that. Besides the Uchiha clan of Hidden Leaf Village, who else possesses the Sharingan? Hiruzen's face hardened. Denzo and the elders also paled. Hand over the forbidden scroll, or Hidden Mist Village will declare war. The Mizukage's voice was firm. He had to retrieve the scroll, or his position as Mizukage would be in jeopardy. There were already dissenting voices in Hidden Mist Village, criticizing his leadership and calling for his removal. The other clans were eager for him to step down. If he did, they would have a chance to take his place. That was why he had risked coming to Hidden Leaf Village. He had to retrieve the forbidden scroll. Hiruzen took a deep breath. If he didn't handle this carefully, Hidden Leaf Village and Hidden Mist Village would go to war. And if that happened, Hidden Sand Village, who was already making moves, would definitely take advantage of the situation. Hidden Stones Village, who had a grudge against Hidden Leaf Village, and Hidden Clouds Village, with their ambitions, might also join in. It could escalate into a four-village alliance against Hidden Leaf Village. Hidden Leaf Village was strong, but even they couldn't withstand an attack from four other hidden villages. The stakes were high. He had to appease the Mizukage. Hiruzen looked at Denzo, then said. Mizukage-sama, I won't lie to you. It's been a long time since the Uchiha clan has produced a Mangekyo Sharingan user. But recently, one did awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan. However, he is now a missing ninja of Hidden Leaf Village. Chapter 62, The Scapegoat. The third Mizukage's expression darkened. He didn't believe Hiruzen's claim that the Uchiha who stole the Forbidden Scroll was a missing ninja. He saw it as a flimsy excuse. Do you think Hidden Mist Village is afraid to go to war with Hidden Leaf Village? The Mizukage stood up and glared at Hiruzen. I know you suspect I'm lying, Mizukage, but he really is a missing ninja. He defected a year ago. You can investigate if you don't believe me. Hiruzen said calmly. His name is Ryoto Uchiha. Feel free to investigate. He's the only one I know of with the Mangekyo Sharingan. He's been classified as an S-rank missing ninja. Hiruzen was indeed referring to Ryoto Uchiha, the one Shin had seen on the mission list. He glanced at Denzo. Ryoto's defection and Mangekyo Sharingan awakening were connected to Denzo. Ryoto was talented and powerful, a genius of the Uchiha clan. Naturally, he had caught Denzo's attention. Denzo had tried to recruit Ryota into Root, but Ryota had refused and even injured the Root agents sent to persuade him. This had offended Denzo, who believed that any talented shinobi who wouldn't serve him should be eliminated, especially an Uchiha. Denzo had captured Ryota's parents and used them as bait to lure Ryota into a trap. He didn't know what had happened after that. All he knew was that all his men were dead, and so were Ryota's parents. The last report he received was that Ryota had awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan. Hiruzen had learned of this incident and helped Denzo clean up the mess. Otherwise, with the Uchiha clan's genius suddenly becoming a missing ninja, and with evidence pointing to Denzo's involvement, the Uchiha clan wouldn't have let it go so easily. Hiruzen had appeased the Uchiha clan with various concessions. But now this had happened. Had Ryota become that strong? Strong enough to infiltrate Hidden Mist Village and steal the Forbidden Scroll? Hiruzen was worried. Ryota's parents were dead, killed by Denzo's men. Would Ryota seek revenge on Hidden Leaf Village? The world only knew of Madara Uchiha's Mangekyo Sharingan, but Hiruzen had another teammate, Kagami Uchiha, who had also awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, though he was now deceased. As Kagami's teammate, Hiruzen understood the terror of the Mangekyo Sharingan. And the more he understood, the more worried he became. This was all Denzo's fault. He had to stop Denzo from doing whatever he pleased, even if he claimed it was for Hidden Leaf Village's sake. But was it truly for Hidden Leaf Village's sake? Perhaps Hidden Leaf Village held some importance in Denzo's heart, but it definitely wasn't his top priority. Denzo was a selfish man, he only cared about himself. After a lengthy discussion, Hiruzen finally managed to appease the Mizukage. The Mizukage left, determined to declare war on Hidden Leaf Village if he discovered Hiruzen had lied to him. Hiruzen breathed a sigh of relief, then turned to the Anbu. Find Ryoto Uchiha. We have to find him. Leave Ryoto Uchiha to me. I will find him and eliminate this threat. Denzo's eyes gleamed. Hiruzen took a deep breath. Can your Root handle him? You know how powerful the Mangekyo Sharingan is. To be able to infiltrate Hidden Mist Village single-handedly and steal the Forbidden Scroll. Hiruzen didn't believe Hidden Mist Village was that weak. He was wary of Ryota now. The Mangekyo Sharingan was the eye that could subdue even-tailed beasts. He was overestimating Ryota, though. It was Shin who had infiltrated Hidden Mist Village, not Ryota. If Ryota had tried, he would have been killed instantly. Ryota was just a scapegoat, blamed for something he didn't do. And now he would be hunted by both Hidden Mist Village and Hidden Leaf Village. Especially Hidden Mist Village. If they found him, even the Mizukage might personally pursue him. And if Shin learned that Ryota had the Mangekyo Sharingan, he might hunt him down to copy it. Ryota's situation was tragic. He might as well change his name to Uchiha Dead Meat. Meanwhile, the true culprit was still enjoying himself in the Land of Water. This croquette is disgusting. Shin tossed the croquette aside. It was made with squid meat and tasted fishy. Kushina and Mikoto also made faces and discarded their croquettes. How can you make croquettes with squid? Do they even know how to cook? Kushina complained. Look, they seem to be enjoying it. Maybe it's just their taste. Mikoto said. Just because they didn't like this strange croquette didn't mean others didn't. The takoyaki here is good, Shin. Try it. Kushina offered Shin a takoyaki ball. It is good. And cheap too. Anything seafood related was cheap in the Land of Water. As an island nation, they had plenty of seafood. We've been in the Land of Water for days. When are we leaving? Kushina asked. She wasn't used to the Land of Water. It was humid, and there was always a thick fog in the mornings and evenings. And the worst part was the fishy smell that blew in from the sea when it was windy. The locals were used to it, but Kushina wasn't. The Land of Whirlpools was also an island nation, but it was closer to the mainland and had a different climate. Kushina wasn't used to it, and neither was Mikoto. Even Shin found it a bit unpleasant. Let's leave today then. Shin said. He decided to take Kushina and Mikoto to a food street in one of the towns before they left. They might not come back to the Land of Water again, so they might as well enjoy a feast. Chapter 63, Developing Ice Style. Return to Hidden Leaf Village. Shin and his team left the Land of Water, but instead of returning to Hidden Leaf Village, they went back to the Land of Whirlpools. They built a small hut near the coast. Kushina and Mikoto sparred on the beach, trying to gain combat experience. But it wasn't very effective. They were just sparring, they weren't using any dangerous jutsu or trying to kill each other. Shin sat by the shore, developing new jutsu. He wanted to create ice-style jutsu. He had the ice-style KK Genkai, but he didn't know any ice-style jutsu. He reviewed his knowledge of jutsu and recalled ice-based abilities from his past life. Those abilities could serve as inspiration. Perhaps he could adapt them into ninjutsu. There were many ice-based abilities, such as the Ice Fruit model, Frost Human Devil Fruit from One Piece, as Death's Ego from Akame ga Kill, and even the Ice Manipulating Stand, White Album, from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. There were many powerful ice abilities, but replicating them with ninjutsu would be challenging. After much deliberation, Shin realized that adapting those abilities into jutsu wasn't something he could achieve in a short time. I'll have to create ice-style jutsu based on existing jutsu. Shin sighed. He would have to put in some effort, but ice style was a powerful element, worth the effort. He used the multi-shadow clone jutsu to create 1,000 clones and set them to work, experimenting and researching ice style. Shin, are you sure you're okay? Mikoto approached him, concerned. Creating 1,000 shadow clones wasn't just physically taxing, it was also mentally demanding. If he dispelled all those clones at once, the mental fatigue could be overwhelming, potentially even fatal. Don't worry, I know my limits. Shin reassured her with a smile. He wouldn't let the clones research for too long. He would maintain control, ensuring he didn't damage his mind. Mental fatigue was inevitable, but he wouldn't harm himself. In fact, after the fatigue subsided, his mental power would increase. This was another method he had discovered for strengthening his mind. But it wasn't something most people could handle. Without immense willpower, they wouldn't be able to endure the mental strain. A week passed. They had been away from Hidden Leaf Village for almost half a month. Shin had developed 3 ice-style jutsu, Ice Wall, Ice Spear, Ice Dragon, Bullet Bomb. These were his original creations. Well, not entirely original. They were modified versions of existing jutsu. Ice Wall was based on the Water Wall jutsu. But even though it was based on an existing jutsu, the hand seals were different. It was a completely new jutsu, just like the Earth style, Earth Wall. Ice Spear was based on Kakazu's Earth Spear, and Ice Dragon Bullet Bomb was based on the Water Dragon Bullet jutsu. These were all at least B-rank jutsu. And this was just the beginning. Shin would continue to develop even stronger jutsu, such as an Ice Age jutsu that could freeze the sea between islands, or even a time-stop jutsu. He believed that with enough time, he could achieve anything. Let's pack up and head back to Hidden Leaf Village. Shin said to Kushina and Mikoto. They had been away for a while. He wondered if the Sandaime Hokage would send someone to look for them. After all, they weren't ordinary ninja. They were all talented. She was eager to return. The Land of Whirlpools was scenic, but it was deserted and boring. And Shin had been busy developing jutsu, so he hadn't had time to play with her. Mikoto had also been busy training. Kushina was bored and wanted to go home. They used water walking to travel across the sea, their chakra-coated feet gliding over the waves. Running on water in the open sea was more challenging than on a river. The waves were stronger. But it didn't stop them. Their chakra control was excellent, they could handle most waves. It took them a few days to reach Hidden Leaf Village. As soon as they returned, Hiruzen was informed. So was Denzo. Hiruzen was relieved. He didn't want to lose these talented youngsters. Denzo, however, was furious. He had sent someone to capture Shin when they left the village. Although he had a bad feeling when he didn't hear back from his elite Jonin, Shin's return still angered him. His subordinate must have failed. As for how, he had no idea. He wanted to capture Shin and his team and interrogate them, but Hiruzen was keeping a close eye on him. If he made any moves within Hidden Leaf Village, Hiruzen would find out. Denzo might be good at operating in the shadows, but he couldn't hide everything from Hiruzen. Shin and his team went to the mission assignment desk and completed their mission. After receiving their reward, they returned to the Senju compound. Hiruzen didn't summon them. As long as they were back, he didn't care about the details. And he wasn't surprised that they had taken so long. Missions to hunt down missing ninja could take a while. Finding the target wasn't easy. Finally home. Kushina looked around the familiar courtyard with a sense of relief. Mikoto smiled. You two rest for a bit. I'll make dinner. Don't bother, Mikoto. Shin stopped her before she could enter the kitchen. Seeing her confused expression, he smiled. You just got back, no need to tire yourself out. Let's eat out. I've been craving Hidden Leaf Village's food. I agree. Kushina chimed in. Mikoto nodded and sat down. Chapter 64, The Hidden Clouds Village attack. Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto strolled through Hidden Leaf Village's bustling food street. We're finally rich. We can buy anything we want. Kushina clutched a handful of snacks, her eyes scanning the stalls for more treats. We weren't exactly poor before, but now we're loaded. Shin said. With the 10 billion ryo he had swiped from Hidden Mist Village, they wouldn't have to worry about money for a while. Let's go get some yakiniku. Shin led Kushina and Mikoto into a popular yakiniku restaurant. Shin. A familiar voice called out. Nawaki, you're living the good life, huh? Eating yakiniku? Looks like you're rolling in dough. Shin teased Nawaki. Of course. I've made a lot of money lately. I even completed a C-rank mission outside the village. Nawaki said proudly. Do missions really take that long? You were gone for over half a month. Nawaki was curious about their long absence. Yeah, some missions take time. Shin said vaguely. He couldn't tell Nawaki the truth. What he had done could make him an enemy of Hidden Mist Village. If Hidden Mist Village found out he was the one who infiltrated their village, killed their shinobi, and stole the Forbidden Scroll, they would demand Hidden Leaf Village hand him over. And knowing Hiruzen, he might actually do it. If word got out, Shin might become an enemy of not just Hidden Mist Village, but Hidden Leaf Village as well. By the way, Nawaki, are you here alone? Shin changed the subject. Nope, I'm with some friends. They're not here yet. I came to reserve a table. Who's coming? Kushina asked. My team, and Minato's team. We're still working together. Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto used to be part of their group, but after becoming Chunin, they had moved on to higher-level missions. Since we're all here, let's eat together. My treat. Nawaki said grandly. No, it's my treat. I promised to buy you all dinner when we got back. Shin shook his head. The food here was good, but it was also expensive. Nawaki's allowance probably wouldn't cover it. Well, if you insist. Nawaki grinned. They reserved a large private room. Soon, Minato, Akiko, Tsume, Hayashi, and Kai arrived. Kai's expression changed when he saw Shin, but he remained silent. Shin was surprised to see Kai there. He wasn't exactly the social type. Shin, you're back. Minato and the others greeted them with surprise. Yep, that mission was tough. Shin lied. Kushina and Mikoto had been the ones who defeated the missing nin, he hadn't even lifted a finger. I want to go on B-rank missions too. Minato said enviously. After completing a C-rank bandit extermination mission, he was eager for more challenging tasks. Actually, after this trip, I realized it's better to stay in the village. We're not taking any missions for a while. Shin said. It was the truth. He wanted to focus on developing his eyes style. Training was more important than pointless missions. After dinner, Shin and his team headed back to the Senju compound with Nawaki. Akiko and Kei, however, went in a different direction. What's going on? Don't they live in the Senju compound too? Why aren't they going home? Kushina was puzzled. Didn't you know? Akiko moved out last week. Then Kai suddenly moved out too. Nawaki explained. Oh, and there's something else. Nawaki's expression turned mischievous. Akiko seems to like Minato. Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto remained expressionless. They already knew. Nawaki was disappointed, then continued. Shin, you must be wondering why Kai came with us today. He has a crush on Akiko, so he tagged along. Still no reaction. Nawaki, I figured that out back in the academy. You're just realizing it now. Oh. So you knew. Nawaki was surprised. Huh? Shin suddenly stopped, his eyes fixed on a nearby alley. What's wrong? Mikoto asked softly. No point hiding. Come on out. Shin said calmly. What? Nawaki looked at Shin, confused. Kushina and Mikoto, however, drew their kunai, their eyes alert. I can't believe a brat like you discovered us. 3 shinobi emerged from the alley. They were tall and muscular, with dark skin and a powerful aura. You're from Hidden Clouds Village, aren't you? Shin asked. The leader of the Hidden Clouds Village shinobi was about to speak, but Shin's question surprised him. They really are from Hidden Clouds Village. Shin saw their surprised expressions and confirmed his suspicions. He had never seen shinobi with such dark skin in Hidden Leaf Village. Only those from the Land of Lightning had that skin tone. It was easy to tell. He hadn't been entirely sure at first, but their reaction confirmed it. Their hostility was clear. They were here for them, or rather, for the Uzumaki. In the original story, Kushina had been captured by Hidden Clouds Village. Even though the timeline had changed, it seemed Hidden Clouds Village was still targeting Kushina. Capture the 2 Uzumaki brats. Kill the other 2. Be quick. Don't attract the Anbu's attention. The Hidden Clouds Village leader lunged at Shin. Chapter 65, Ice Style annihilates Hidden Clouds Village shinobi in a dim alleyway. A wall of ice, shimmering with a pale blue light, blocked the Hidden Clouds Village captain's grasping hand. Ice Style? The captain stared at the ice wall in surprise. You're quite knowledgeable, Shin said with a smirk, his eyes fixed on the 3 Hidden Clouds Village shinobi like a predator sizing up its prey. Humphrey, I'll shatter this ice wall. The captain channeled chakra into his fist and punched the ice wall. His attack resembled Tsunoda's monstrous strength, but it was weaker. His fist struck the wall, causing barely a tremor. Weak, Shin muttered. He wasn't trying to be insulting, he genuinely thought the captain was weak. Enraged, the captain called out to his comrades, and they unleashed a triple lightning-style attack. Electricity crackled as they channeled lightning through their hands, using the earth as a conduit to attack Shin. But the lightning strikes were blocked by the ice wall. Lightning style, double lariat. The captain focused lightning chakra into his elbow and slammed it into the ice wall. Cracks spread across the surface. It was a nintaijutsu technique, a combination of ninjutsu and taijutsu, similar to the chidori, but using the elbow instead of the hand. Not bad. You managed to crack the wall. You're quite strong. Shin looked at the captain with an appreciative smile. You're asking for it. The captain couldn't stand Shin's patronizing attitude. Ice style, Ice Dragon Bullet Bomb. Shin's hands moved in a blur, forming hand seals with incredible speed. 6 seals in 2 seconds. An ice dragon emerged, roaring towards the captain. It slammed into him, sending him flying, then continued its trajectory towards another Hidden Clouds Village shinobi. The ice dragon opened its jaws and swallowed the shinobi whole, freezing him solid. Crack. The ice dragon shattered, and the frozen shinobi within crumbled into a pile of ice shards. 1 left. Ice style, Ice Spear. Several ice spears materialized before Shin, then shot towards the last Hidden Clouds Village shinobi, piercing his heart and limbs. Is that one dead too? Kushina pointed at the captain, who had been sent flying by the ice dragon. Not yet, but he's as good as dead. An ordinary shinobi would have been killed by the impact, but this was a Hidden Clouds Village jonin, a master of nintaijutsu. His body was more durable, so he was still clinging to life. But he was barely alive. His bones were broken, his internal organs ruptured. He was better off dead. What happened? Nawaki stammered, finally snapping out of his shock. He stared at the scene in horror. The shinobi who had been swallowed and frozen by the ice dragon. It was too much for him. He had seen blood before, but nothing this gruesome. As you can see, they were Hidden Clouds Village shinobi. They attacked us, and we retaliated. Why are you so shocked, Nawaki? Don't you have any guts? Shin shook his head at Nawaki. Nawaki was bewildered. Shin, Kushina, and Mikoto seemed unfazed. Was he really that weak-minded? Kushina and Mikoto had witnessed far more gruesome scenes. They were somewhat desensitized to violence. Let's wait for the Anbu, Shin said, sitting down. The commotion wasn't huge, but it wasn't small either. The Anbu would have noticed. Besides their main duties, the Anbu were always lurking in the shadows, protecting Hidden Leaf Village. Unless it was in a remote training ground or the forest, any significant disturbance would attract their attention. This was practically the center of the village. Attacking here was foolish. Shin frowned. They had just returned to Hidden Leaf Village, and these Hidden Clouds Village shinobi had attacked them. It was strange. Shin, what are you thinking? Mikoto asked. I'm thinking their real target might not be us. This wasn't a good place for an attack. It was too close to the Hokage Tower, and the security was tight. Attacking here would attract attention. Or perhaps that was their goal. To distract Hidden Leaf Village's forces while their accomplices carried out their true objective. If Shin's guess was correct, their real targets were Kai and Akiko. He was right. That was their plan. Sacrifice 3 of their own to distract Hidden Leaf Village while the others captured their targets. Shin and his team hadn't been part of the original plan. When they formulated their plan, Shin and his team weren't even in Hidden Leaf Village. They had intended to attack Nawaki to draw attention. Nawaki was the grandson of Hashirama Senju. He was a potential threat, so they wanted to eliminate him. And even if they couldn't kill him, they could use him as a distraction while their accomplices captured Akiko and Kai. The 3 Hidden Clouds Village shinobi had been surprised to see Shin and Kushina. They had done their research before infiltrating Hidden Leaf Village. They knew Shin and Kushina weren't in the village. Their targets were Akiko and Kai. But seeing Shin and Kushina, they decided to capture them as well. Then, they became test subjects for Shin's new ice-style jutsu. Nawaki had been lucky. If Shin and his team had returned a day later, He might be dead. Of course, he didn't know how close he had came to death. Shin, you think their real goal was to kidnap Akiko and Kai? Kushina and Mikoto were surprised by Shin's theory. It's just a guess. I'm not sure. But he was at least 80% sure. Should we go save them?